Coming up this week, is it only a matter of time until Dead Man's mask is removed to reveal it was Old Man Dithers all along?
Why couldn't Talullah Black travel forward in time to face down her arch-rival, the Frito Bandito?
All this and more is coming up next. It's episode 79 of DCR.
This day, we rescue a world from mysticism and tyranny, and usher in a future brighter than anything we can imagine.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's
Distress Citizens Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DCR. I, of course, remain your host, Sean Lamont, comic book reader extraordinaire. And today we're going to be talking about comic books, but I say we because I'm not alone. I'm never alone. I have people here with me. Most notably, the guy with the bad puns, the guy that always raffle stomps all over my stuff, Mr. Brian Glein. Hello, sir.
Hey there, Sean. How's it going?
I am A-OK. It's kind of weird. I can actually see you now.
I know.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm looking directly at
I know.
you.
It confuses
It's
me.
strange. That's why I was so off last week.
Also with us, though, we bring the ladies back. The Cookie Monster. The person who was told one thing tonight, do not eat all of my cookies, and then immediately came in and ate all of my cookies. The lovely Miss Kelly. Hello, Kelly.
I did not eat all your cookies.
You ate half a sleeve of Chips Ahoy.
6 cookies is not a half a sleeve.
It is to me. It is to me.
The next week for your birthday, I'll get you a thing of chocolate chip cookies, okay?
It's not my birthday next week. I don't have birthdays, remember? We canceled them.
Oh, maybe it's
He
not next
exists-
week.
he
Maybe it's
exists
the week
outside of time and
after.
space.
I am.
Okay, it's in 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
That's right. See? It's always I'm going to keep moving that goalpost so it's never there. But what people may notice, we might sound a little different today. We have new technology. I don't know how it's going to work. It's a lot of blinky lights. It really is intimidating.
It's a lot of blinky lights.
Yeah, dials all over the place, just stuff flying everywhere. Toggle switches. As I said on Twitter, love my toggle switches, and that's all I need. I can hit a button and mute you guys. That's awesome. That functionality alone, totally worth the cost of entry.
The blinky every time that I talk is kind of distracting.
Well, don't stare at it. Stare at us. See, that's why we have the cross-table thing going
but
here.
it's lights.
Well, don't. If I jangle keys over here, will you look this direction?
You had a laser pointer.
No. No, it's just lights.
Okay, fair enough. What are we going to do, though, guys?
Spoil things.
We're going to spoil all the books that came out from DC Comics. In what line?
The new 52?
I believe so.
We're not going to be talking about what Scooby-Doo's doing this month.
Well, we might be.
Oh, really?
Honestly, my question was alluding to a lot of things that were going on this week because it seems kind of like DC Comics pulling a lot of inspiration from the old, 60s, 70s, 80s cartoons. Just saying.
Just saying.
So Scooby-Doo could show up in Unmasked Deadman at any time. But if you guys do not want your book spoiled, do not listen to this particular episode. Because by the end of the show, you should have a relatively good idea of what happened this week in DC Comics. That being said, we're bringing back something. We had a little bit of time. I think we have time for questions.
What about comments?
Have maybe some comments.
Okay.
1 or 2 concerns.
All right.
No corrections, though. I'm still compiling that master list. And
There'll be a bonus episode. Make up for all that space that we were...
Yes. So let's start some questions here. The first one we have comes from... It was asked by a bunch of different people. I was answering it onesie-twosie, but I just figured I would just get it out there so I didn't have to keep onesie-twosieing it. So on Twitter, the user Laoloa, Laoloa... Sure. Says, what new tech are you adding? The show sounds great already. What are you using to record now?
Hold on, I'm going to take this one, Sean.
Okay.
We've got some robot arms.
Okay.
We've got a black box with switches on it.
Toggle switches.
And we've got a more different black box down there on the floor. And there's got those things that, when you'd see, Sean Combs holding earphones up to his head.
Okay.
And someone would be rapping, and you'd see him slowly push something up and then nod his head yeah, yeah, that's what we got.
That's the best part. After the toggle switches.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of blinky lights on everything.
Okay, yes, we've established the blinky lights. What we have going on here is I have Sennheiser E835 dynamic microphones. When it comes to condenser, I use Audio-Technica 2020s. Those are going via cable over to a Xenix X1622 mixer that is looping out through a Behringer MDX 4600 processor, back into the mixer, and out to my PC that I record in Audacity. That's why I wanted to get it done. I had to type that out every time someone asked. So now it's established. It's out there. It's part of our new continuity.
All right, go again.
Yes,
Okay,
your snark is unneeded. But there you go, Leoloa, and everyone else that asked, that's what I'm using. You do not need that to do a podcast. You need a microphone and something to record you talking. Probably an internet connection, otherwise you're just going to sit in your office by yourself.
People far more successful than us just use their iPhone.
Yes, so that was just me trying to learn all these little dials and knobs and switches and just doing something else on the side. Next question, though, comes from Florian Hoberg.
He just wants to be fancy. That's all it is.
I was just bragging with that one. That's why I pulled that very question. I was like, look at all my toys. It's all low end, too, so it's not really bragging. Florian Hoberg wrote in and says, I have a question for you. What are your favorite 3 storylines since the start of the New 52? And he goes on to list his. Number 1, Throne of Atlantis. Number 2, Death of the Family. And number 3, Court of Owls. Not quart,
Yes,
but
everyone's
court.
favorite liquid measurement of owls.
So, Brian, you get to go first.
All right. Can we count the entirety of Wonder Woman?
I actually have that as number 2 on my list.
Okay, all right, because it's one big long story. You can't deny that. Number 2, Reverse Flash, making sure you can keep the Villains Month issue in there.
Okay.
And just because I wasn't quite sure if it counted as just one story, number 3, I've got Superman Saves the Underlemurs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The Action Comics, the first arc for Greg Pak.
for Greg Pak,
Yeah, that's
and I've got some honorable mentions of Dial H because I'm not quite sure how you split that up into story arcs.
I don't know if you really
I think it's one big thing.
Yeah.
And the back half of Demon Knights, the Venditti half of Demon Knights, I
Gotcha.
really enjoyed.
Was that more the Venditti half or was that more the Chang half?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
They work together in perfect harmony. Unfortunately, it's kind of tapered off as we got some different artists in there, and they obviously had to speed things up because
Wrapping it up there.
they had to wrap it up a little
And he
early.
was moving over to Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Which we so love him on
Yes,
anyway.
exactly.
Mine. They go number 1, Throne of Atlantis. Number 2 was the Wonder Woman. Since it was cheating, I kind of have like a little mishmash for number 2. I put the Hell arc. If I had to pick, like, I guess that could be considered a separate arc in the whole thing. And then I also have the entire Morrison Action Comics run. Drink. And but if I had to choose the first 5, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his Action Comics run with the Alabama Mud Stomp and Superman. Hoo-yah!
Yeah.
My number 3, War of the Robins in Batman and Robin. It was the second arc that they did.
Okay, so that would have been my dead zone.
Yes, it's where Damian was being Damian, and he decided he was going to prove he's the best Robin and was going to beat all the other Robins at whatever they were prided themselves as the best at. And my favorite issue is when he was hiding in Jason Todd's apartment and just leapt out from behind the door and was like, blah, and beat him up and stole his mask. So.
Oh, Damien.
Yeah, it was just so much fun for me. That was the exact time frame where I was like, there really needs to be a Robins book with all 4 of these guys interacting because they really do have a good flow between the 4 of them. They were automatically split into teams between Jason Todd and Tim Drake have like a bond going that we've seen in some of the older issues where, because Tim Drake came right after Jason Todd and wanted to honor him and blah, blah, blah. And then obviously Dick Grayson and Damian have their bond because they were Batman and Robin at one point.
Yes.
So we even had could have had good volleyball matches all the time and stuff. It would have been great. But hopefully that answers the question. There was a lot of good arcs. I had to choose between quite a few. The last question, though, comes from Eric Borstein. He says, you end every episode asking for people to support titles that are outside the safe bets, something he wholeheartedly approves of. Do either of you have a method for wading through the globs of mediocre new options each week to get to the diamonds buried beneath? Kelly, how do you find the good comics?
I close my eyes and just point. I don't.
Do you point with your hand or your nose? Do you just go down on all fours and just go and point your nose at the wall?
She follows her nose. Always knows.
No.
I was thinking more like the pointer dogs.
I don't read.
Why? You've read a couple.
I
so-
have read a
It's
couple.
usually stuff that I shove in front of you. But
It's usually things that are shoved in front of me or things that just happen to be laying around the house. It's just like, this looks like this might be, interesting. I'll pick this up, flip through the pages. If it looks kind of cool, then I'll go through it,
Does that work for you, though? Do you find that is getting you books that you like, or are you just kind of indifferent?
Kind of indifferent, but,
Okay, that's fun. That's a fair answer.
I'm the non-reader perspective.
I know,
so
but
it's fun trying to find time for her to find time to actually read something.
time. What is time?
Yeah, she's got a big old stack of Scotty Young Oz books that she really wants to read, but just hasn't.
fair enough.
Sparkle Motion's costumes are on their butt tonight. That's all that mattered.
Done. Wow.
That's all I cared about.
Brian.
Well, you can always go into your favorite creators' back catalogs and pay attention to what they're publishing independently.
Number 3 on my list.
Also, if you like to read creator interviews, always look out for when they're talking about what they're reading now or what their favorite things are on the stand. Because normally, if you like their point of view on things, you're going to like this other stuff that they like. I also use that for music as well.
I've found mixed bag with that, though, because a lot of them enjoy the technical aspects of it.
Yeah.
Where they are breaking down the technical and seeing different ways things are done. And I can completely understand that.
And you do also totally have to filter out whether or not they're just supporting their friends or if it's something that they're actually reading independently.
They could have gone out drinking with one of their buddies the night before that's like, man, my book's only selling 8,000. Don't worry, I'm going on a show tomorrow. And I'm talking up. And then they're sitting there on the show with a hangover going, my buddy's book is my favorite. Mm-hmm. But do you have any other ways of slipping through there? Or?
Well, comics are one of the few industries where you can judge a book by its cover.
I've had mixed reviews with that as well.
Yeah,
because the covers don't seem to match.
Well, yeah, the covers sometimes don't match. There's always the problem of it's a lot better now that they actually have the creators' names on the cover.
Yes.
But I know when I was in the 90s, I'd pick up a really cool looking X-Men book. I'm like, ooh, Joe Madureira cover. And then inside was like 8th tier backup artists. I'm like, oh man, this isn't what I bought this for.
You never even opened the book before you bought it?
Well, I was just used to I bought the last issue. I assume this issue will look just as good. And it's like, no.
Fair enough.
Pull lists and whatnot,
Yeah, mine was word of mouth. I have a couple people online as well as just friends. You
can listen to us. We're the best word of mouth.
We have our own things that we like. Yeah. We are one of the few shows that are like, hey, Scotty Lobdell's Superman had some interesting ideas in it. That is not what anyone else is saying.
Wrong.
And I completely understand that. I even had multiple issues of Teen Titans where I was like, okay, this issue could be the turnaround point. It seems like it's going in a good direction. Wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, listen at your comic shop. I never would have read Starman if my old comic shop owner didn't push it so hard.
One final example on that, there are plenty of people that absolutely adore Catwoman under Nocenti's pen. And it's not our cup of tea. We've made that abundantly clear. Even though I've screamed from the mountaintop how much joy it has brought in my life. It's not a serious storytelling thing for me. I get the wrong stuff out of it. But that does not mean that our opinion is correct because it's an opinion. I also do a lot of shots in the dark. I do the Kelly method. I close my eyes and I just grab something off the shelf and then I open my eyes and go, X-Men, okay? And then I close my eyes after putting it back on the shelf, reach out and grab it. Avengers, god damn it. And I put it back on the shelf. No, I do a lot of blind grabs when it comes to Image stuff, when it comes to Oni stuff, Boom Studios. I will literally just, hey, that looks intriguing, and I'll give it a shot. I will give it at least a fair shake. Fiscally speaking, not everyone has that option, but it's worth a shot every now and again.
Yep.
So basically, we're in the same boat as you there, Eric. We don't have a surefire method. We have just as many misses as we have hits.
Yes.
If not more so, it's sometimes.
Somebody should just make a book randomizer app that you just push the button and it spins a little wheel and then it points to the book you're getting that week and it's like, I'll try this one this week.
I'd probably hit bankrupt. You lose all your comics. Damn it. But that's all of our questions for this week.
A trip to Hawaii.
I never get the trip to Hawaii.
I wouldn't want to go to Hawaii.
Oh, I'm trying to get us to the books.
I know.
That's all of our questions for this week, so let's go ahead and jauntily stroll forward into this week's books.
All right, I am starting us off this week.
Yes, you are.
Justice League 31.
That's an important book,
Still
man.
an issue behind, but we are getting there.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
They are double shipping it, so we'll catch up.
Cool. All right. So we start off with Sean standing up and walking away, so I have no one to talk to.
Opening the window.
All right, so we start off with Jessica Cruz. We have seen her before. She has been chosen by the Power Ring of Earth 2 to be the new Power Ring.
Pow, pow, Power Ring.
She will soon lead an underground gang called Power Ring. She has been holed up in her apartment for 4 years since she was attacked and left for dead, and apparently she's been doing nothing in that apartment but crunches. Nothing but crunches.
She was pretty ripped.
She's got some ridiculous abs for someone who doesn't do anything.
She's a doomsday prepper.
Yeah, that's
Everyone
right.
knows abs will save you.
Man, her arch enemy Catwoman is not going to like that at all.
Are you sure she wasn't just using an abber?
No.
What's an abber?
Freaking
runner.
strong bad. All right. So we see her being frightened by this evil sentient ring that is talking to her. We cut to Lex Luthor, who showed up at Wayne on the doorstep of Wayne Manor and said, "Can Batman come out and play?"
Yeah, that was our big cliffhanger from last week.
Yeah, so he's trying to blackmail his way onto the Justice League by talking to Bruce Wayne.
No, he's not trying to blackmail himself.
He's just trying to do the best thing
He's
for
trying
planet
to do
Earth.
a business transaction here.
Yep, and Bruce Wayne, he just keeps denying, "I'm not Batman. I don't know what you're talking about. We could talk business. Let's talk business. I'll get Man-Bat in here. We'll do everything."
My favorite recap of all those pages is that it was Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne going, "You're Batman. M not R2. M not R2."
Nuh-uh. He pulls out a gun to try to get Batman to Batman out. Alfred pulls out a gun. Don't know where Alfred got the gun.
Walter PPK, by the way. A Walter PPK.
Oh, okay.
James Bond's gun.
Oh, all right.
He's the British spy guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he was James Bond.
Yeah, so there's this really tense, Reservoir Dogs style standoff. The clock ticks. Batman does this awesome... That full-page spread was great. I'm not quite sure what was going on. It just looks very dramatic.
Yes.
I think he
was kicking the gun out of
Alfred's hand.
Yes.
So Alfred didn't shoot someone.
Because both of them were about to pull the triggers on one another.
Yeah. And so Lex, he felt a draft. He's very smart. He figures out where he is. He just destroys the clock in the main foyer.
I'm sure he has a room full of grandfather clocks, and they'll
I'm
just
sure, yeah.
wheel one out on a dolly and change the
That's like-
time over to when
I
his
like how he
parents
says,
died.
I've got special explosive bullets. That's why it exploded so big. And he's like, "Oh, that's where the Batcave is. I felt the draft. That's pretty cool. Let's go and talk about being on the Justice League together. Come on." And Bruce Wayne's just like, "All right, Lex, get out of here. I'll talk to you later." We check in.
There was one part of that, though, where Alfred actually said that he would have no compunction with murdering to protect Bruce Wayne and his secret. Which is, I don't know, is that a plot seed for a... Because that could be a real dark, freaking dramatic storyline.
Oh, yeah.
If Alfred was ever put to the test where he had to make that judgment call and maybe fell on the side of plugging somebody.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need, more dark drama in the Batman universe.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's running a little short.
It'd be something new at least. We check in with Shazam and Cyborg, our new buddy cops. They're just hanging out. They're surveying the Power Ring situation, and Shazam is bored.
I'm so bored,
He's so
Cyborg.
bored. Can we play some Xbox? Do you have an Xbox? And I love the fact that Cyborg's just like, "I do have one in my shoulder, but not now. This is very important stuff we're doing. Very, very important." And so he's like, "So what is your thing anyway, Shazam?" He's like,
So
"Well,
he'd be like good at parties.
He would. You would just have USB cables coming out of Cyborg everywhere. He'd be like doing the music from his right side and the Xbox on the left, videotaping from his red eye the entire time, like, "Say hello, everybody, woo!"
if a Cloverfield monster ever shows up, he's the one you want following you around."
Well, yeah, because he would just shoot it. It would
Well,
die.
yeah, well, that too, yes. He's like, "So Shazam, what is your deal anyway?" He's like, "Well, I was in a subway, and there was a castle, and some old guy, he gave me magic powers. They're like, well, what can you do with your magic powers? He's like, I don't know. He's like, what do I want for the Justice League? Alakazam! And a Shazam-style ping pong table shows up. He's like, I really wanted to play ping pong, Cyborg. He's like, well, I guess it's right here. We may as well.
So that's what they do. These are the two that are left up to watch for all of the trouble of the world. This is why there's all these events going on right now. Why Doom's going on. Why all the Forever Evil stuff, Aftermath. Because
Shazam
these two are up here
and
playing ping
Cyborg
pong.
are busy being Teen Titans off on the Watchtower.
I liked it, though.
I like it a lot. Power Ring, because, Shazam and Cyborg are just busy playing ping pong. Power Ring is able to take over Jessica Cruz, tries to burn her city down. We saw Wonder Woman and Superman flying to stop her, or to catch up with her. But the Doom Patrol shows up. It's Niles Calder, Negative Man, Robot Man, Elastigirl, and Element Woman. They're the new Doom Patrol, and they're going to stop her.
They sound very Legion. Not a man and girl, and slap a man, slap a girl on the end of a thing.
It's the time that they were created, All
right, fair enough. These are your boys, though, right? These are the people you like?
So is Negative Man, is he basically like a Debbie Downer?
Yeah.
No.
All
I mean,
the
is
time
that
they're
what his
like,
powers
hey,
are?
can we go get Chinese food? No. Can we get Italian? No.
I don't like that.
And he's a mummy.
Actually, my Negative Man, who is actually Fast Forward, but they called him Negative
My
Man.
Negative
My
Man.
Negative Man. Yes. The Arcudi Doom Patrol was the one that I liked, and they were completely new characters. I never really followed the original Doom Patrol. There was a lot of nods to them in that run. Negative Man is a mummy. I know he's got this whole thing where he can shoot like a negative version of himself. It's like he shoots like a ghost shadow thing
out
of his body.
Project himself.
He can project himself, and he can go beat up bad guys, but then his body is kind of sitting there lifeless and just a mummy while his thing's flying around.
Does he just hide in Egyptian museum things all the time, and then goes, "Okay, guys, I'm safe."
I'm amazed there were never more Hawkman Negative Man team ups in the long run.
Well, what's the point of projecting yourself somewhere if your main, the body doesn't do anything?
Well, that's how you have the power.
He's
the
an
power's
energy
from the
being
ghost
then,
energy
that he
being,
just
yeah.
floats around and energy blasts things.
But the only way he doesn't dissipate or something is if he goes back into his body. They're like the freaks. They're the original. They're literally the original X-Men. They're the original society hates and fears us, but we're going to try to protect them anyway characters.
Do you think we're rebooting Niles Calder, or is this still the same Niles from...
I hope he's still the same one that clones Fairchild over and over again. His weirdness and creepiness is part of his...
He was definitely weird and creepy in
Yeah.
Ravagers. I like you, Fairchild. That's why I made a whole bunch of gloopy clones of you. You're a clone, too.
You.
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Yep.
I like Justice League and the route it's going.
Shoot, you know what I forgot? I forgot Captain Cold being
You did. I have that on my little checklist here.
getting hired by LexCorp.
And also seems to be using him for some nefarious or...
I don't know.
Or is he trying to help him out?
I don't know. They call it Project Wannabe.
Well, because he lost his powers,
Yeah.
Captain Cold did, and is he trying to find out how he got the DNA encoder, how it worked to give him powers to begin with, or is he trying to help his newfound buddy here get his powers back?
Exactly.
I can't tell. Lex Luthor's kind of weird right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the intrigue.
He could go either way.
And I like how enthusiastic Captain Cold. He's helped save the world. Look, let's all take pictures with him. And he's just standing there all awkward, not sure what to do.
All the security guards. He's like, I'm not used to getting photos taken with security guards.
Yes.
Normally, I have to run from you guys.
Awkward.
I hope he gets shoved to the front.
I hope so too.
I really hope he gets what is due to him because he is just such a great character.
Exactly.
Such a great character.
Good old Lenny.
I'll save it for The Flash. We have that this week as well.
Yes.
We'll discuss some other stuff.
Yeah.
But
And also, a minor thing at the end of the book, hooray for the new Channel 52 format.
oh, you like that?
I like that.
Just giant art stuff as
Giant
well?
art, a non-ambush bug explanation of what's happening to get you excited about a big thing that's coming up.
Yep. It is a lot cleaner. And
Very
you can
much
see
so.
everything that's going on, and it actually is intriguing. It's not like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo at the end.
Yeah.
Abadi, abadi, abadi.
Yep.
Yeah, but I actually really like the way Justice League is going. It feels like the lattice work of the DCU and as a whole was kind of finished with Forever Evil, and it really feels like it's meshing a bit more now.
Yeah.
It may just be kind of the aftermath where there was actually some meshing done through Forever Evil, and now it's kind of paying off. But to me, Justice League actually feels like a linchpin book right now.
Well, it's sort of like it doesn't necessarily feel so much like a Justice League book, but it's more like a DC Universe, you kind of need to read it book.
Yeah, it's just in the middle and just kind of giving you snippets of what's happening all over the place.
Big, gigantic everything.
I think we'll get there.
I hope so.
We'll get there.
I know.
But my next book, I have one. I have Sinestro, number 3, because he's not Sinestro. That would be obvious that he's evil.
Mm-hmm.
He, in the last 2 issues, he was out there trying to get all of the Korrigarians, the surviving members of his race after Korrigar was destroyed by the First Lantern, and trying to salvage what was out there. So now he has retaken over his Sinestro Corps, renamed it back. This isn't the Arquillo Corps, this is the Sinestro Corps, and I'm back in the saddle once more. And he goes down his little checklist. He's like, man, these guys were lost without me. It's a good thing I came on back. Let's see, what did I have to do today? I have killed every single one of my dissenters amongst the ranks. Check. I have claimed a new base for the Sinestro Corps. Check. And totalitarian levels are at optimal levels. So, another good job of being the leader of the Sinestro Corps. I'm going to go check in on those Korrigarians I rescued a couple days ago. Sornik Natu, my daughter, should have gotten them all patched up by now, and I'm sure they are completely grateful for me saving their lives. And he goes strolling in the door with Sornik, and he's like, how are my favorite Korrigarian survivors doing? And they are stone-faced. Sinestro. Why does it have to be Sinestro? And he's like, what do you mean, why does it have to be Sinestro? I just saved your lives. You were about to be sacrificed to this horrible cult. And they all go, yeah, you do realize the only reason we weren't on Korrigar when it exploded was because we were fleeing from you. And now, that ended us up being captured after you had something to do with our planet being destroyed, I think. And now we're back under your clutches. So no, we're not very happy about this. He's Sinestro, completely angry about this. You bunch of ingrates, I just saved you. Maybe the next group of Korrigarians I save will be a little bit more gracious. And he goes stomping out the door with Sornik Natu. And he's like, well, you see what I'm doing here, right? I'm trying to help him. And Sornik goes, well, yeah, but I'm also your prisoner, so I'm kind of not really going to take your side on this whole thing. And he goes, you're not my prisoner, watch this. And he goes into the other room and he goes, you guys get it? Yeah, we got it. And they end up giving her a Green Lantern battery because that was why she was stuck there. Her ring was dead. And they go, here you go. You can charge up. You can leave if you want. Just realize I'm going to be out there trying to get all of our Korrigarian friends here and repopulate this planet. Make it new Korrigar. And she decides she's going to stick around with them. So next mission, guys. Let's saddle up. We're going to head out. Arquillo's back to being General number 1. He's all yay Sinestro again. He's all bruised and beaten and battered. He's like, yeah, I don't know why I keep standing up to that guy. Every time I do, I get my tongue ripped out. I get beaten down. It's just never working out. I'm just going to be a yes man to Sinestro again. Let's go do this. Cause some fear. Cause some terror. And they head out to the planet of Muz. M-U-Z or Muz. Muz. That's what I'm going to call it.
Sounds right.
Where a bunch of Korrigarian survivors are being
As
sold.
long as it's not muzzy.
It's very muzzy.
Dishwi la zumbi.
Oh, jeez. A bunch of Korrigarian survivors are being sold off as slaves for delicacies for the rich people if they want to eat them or do whatever they want with them, put them in zoo exhibits, whatever you want to do. And that's when the Sinestro Corps shows up and Sinestro bids $250, even though it was already up in like the millions. They're like, we don't think you understand how auctions work there, guy in the back. And he's like, oh, no, I understand. The 250 was the about 250 of you in the room here that I won't murder when you hand them over to me. And the rich people get very irate, go, gods, kill them. And that's when the Sinestro Corps goes on wholesale slaughter mode and murders everyone in the room. Just kills them, rips their faces off, stabs them. Little yellow construct wolves are tearing people apart and stuff. And Sinestro floats on down in front of the Korrigarian survivors. And he goes, friends, countrymen, planet people of my own, I have come to liberate you. Are you not amused by my arrival? And they are terrified, mortified of this guy and the people he has brought in. And that's when Sornik Natu steps in and goes, I'll take care of them. You just keep your people in check so they don't murder the rest of the planet. And he's like, why doesn't anyone like me? And he's just kicking the dirt all sad. But their conversation...
He's flanked by creepy fear monsters.
Yes,
ladies with laser dogs and crap.
Yes.
Maybe he just needs to get better people skills.
He has fine people skills. I think he just hasn't surrounded himself with people that have people skills. They're just murdering people all the time. Like Arkillo sees someone and immediately de-articulates their arms and just goes, ta-da! That's my thing. That's my hobby. I de-articulate things. Or add more points of articulation on a body. Their little conversation is cut short, though, when the Pale Vicars, actually the Inquisition of the Pale Vicars, you guys remember these guys?
Nope.
The cult of non-emotion. They are completely gray. They're actually pretty badass looking, to be honest. But they have found out that emotion is a weakness, and they want to eliminate all of it, and they find the Sinestro core and go, oh, you guys use fear. No. We can't have that whatsoever, and they want to eliminate the Sinestro core, and that's where we'll pick up next month. Eaglesham and Rags Morales in this issue.
Ooh.
Rags Morales was the backup artist.
That's a nice 1-2 punch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Eaglesham has already been dominating it. I've said it for the last 2 months. And then to have Rags Morales step in and go, oh, okay, here you go. Nah, here's a page or two since you were behind it. I was like, okay, if that's how you're going to do it, I'm okay with that. Colin Bunn does a great job when it comes to... Sinestro isn't a bad guy. You can see he's trying to do something good, but the way he does it is always wrong. It seems to be like his little Sisyphean loop that he's caught in all the time where he's like, I'm just trying to make the universe a better place by killing everyone that's not good. I like it. It's a nice balance. You root for him, but you know you can't because he's just going to screw it all up. So it makes for an interesting read. It's got built-in drama amongst itself. I'm hoping people are reading it. I'm hoping people are enjoying it. I'm hoping. I hope so.
Okay.
So what do you got next?
I've got more Lantern action with Red Lanterns 32.
We have so much Lantern action this week.
There's a lot of Lanterns. All right. So when we last left our Red Lanterns, they had just picked up a new member in the Judge.
Judge Judy.
Yes, Judge Judy. Bop, bop, bop. They are going to go free Rancor. And they go do this, and it's a trap because Rancor has now been made mindless again by Atrocitus.
I didn't even know he could do that. I assumed he could.
Well, they even say that. It's like, I didn't know you could even do that.
Well, at least I'm not alone.
Yeah, they said that in the book.
Did he use his woodgy blood magic that's never really explained?
Yeah, they're like, man, that blood magic,
man,
it's so vague, and he can do anything with it. I mean,
he just kind of scrawls blood on things and then just kind of concentrates and stuff happens.
Ew, that's gross.
Well, that's how I get stuff done at work all the time. I'm like, did you get those reports done? And they're like, no, not really. And then I just stand outside their cube smearing blood on the wall. Those reports come real fast, let me tell you.
All right, so as we already found out, there's no Atrocitus on his planet. It's just Rancor as a blood monster. And because Atrocitus went off to Eastmalt to go and destroy their statues.
What?
He goes and he destroys their statues, Sean.
No!
They got their statues for killing a space Hitler, and he just destroyed them.
That's just wrong.
He doesn't destroy Ratchets, though, because he liked Ratchet.
Yeah, I could see that. Ratchet was a pretty cool guy. Mm-hmm. Everyone liked Ratchet.
Good brain jellyfish.
Yeah, brain jellyfish with tentacles that was depressed all the time. Way to go. Everyone loves you.
He also destroys their power battery, and he taints their blood pool so they can't fix Rancor or have a good 4th of July blood pool party.
Not on 4th of July weekend. That's just wrong.
That's just mean. The sparklers are just not going to sparkle the same way without that blood pool. Bleeze manages to sacrifice herself because, she loves Rancor. So she goes and hugs him and tells Zilius Zox to blast them both with the gigantic laser on their space pirate ship.
Yeah.
And so he blasts them. They're both almost dead. Very nearly dead. Okay. Not quite totally dead.
So they're mostly dead?
Mostly dead, yes. They're just these charred husks, practically skeletons, and Supergirl's just like, are they dead? And Guy's just like, well, their rings aren't moving, so they're probably not dead.
That must be really useful. Why don't they have rings for EMTs in the freaking New 52?
I know, right?
Just everyone should have some sort of lantern ring, so that way if anyone dies, you know what happened.
Well, that was what Blackest Night was, wasn't it? Everyone got a ring, so you could tell who was dead and who wasn't.
Oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
So that handy dandy little FYI, this guy's actually dead.
Yeah, so they go back to Eastmalt. They're like, well, we can go and fix Rancor, or we could just go dip him in the blood pool, because absolutely nothing happened to Eastmalt while we were gone.
Yep.
They go back there. They see the Atrocitus has just wrecked the place. Guy says, Supergirl, it's time for you to leave. You're young. You've got your whole life ahead of you. We're going to go do something very, very stupid. So go see. I'll give you the coordinates to Mogo. They've probably fixed St. Walker by this point. Probably.
Probably.
I mean, it's been how many months already? He's probably fine now. There's probably all sorts of Blue Lanterns.
I hope he's fine.
They can all go and fix you. Go off to that. So that's what we saw her doing at the beginning of her issue last week. And the rest of the team
It was a nice scene, though. Where
Oh God, yeah.
Where he's like, no, kid, you got to get out of here. Don't call me kid.
And she hugs him and she's like, don't call me kid. Oh, it was sweet. It was a sweet moment between Supergirl and Guy Gardner, which is a thing that you would never have thought you'd be. One of those weird sentences you never thought you would say. So, so Guy's like, all right, everybody, we're going to go on a suicide run to take down Atrocitus.
Suicide Squad?
No, not a Suicide Squad.
No.
Just a suicide run. Because they're gonna take him out, and if they've got to kill him and possibly kill themselves in the process, they're going to do it. Because the universe would be a better place without Atrocitus.
I hope this isn't the end of the biker gang Red Lanterns.
I know.
It seems like it's really coming that way.
Scalox keeps saying, man, Atrocitus had some good ideas.
No, I really hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
If it does, I'm not going to stomp my feet in powder or anything, but it has
you
been
will. Don't pretend
No, it's
you won't.
it's been a lot of fun. It wasn't something I was expecting to enjoy, and it just blew my hair back because I've had so much fun with it. Maybe Zillia Zox will leave the Reds and follow Guy Gardner.
Become a green, or he'll join the new
squad up.
He could be JLI or whatever.
He could be in the sector partner of Box.
Oh yes,
Zox and Box, sector partners. Come on now,
Zox and Box, buddy cops.
But you're still all in on this one?
I'm still all in.
Yeah, so well done. I'm going to move us forward, though. Secret Origins, number 3. We get a scatter shot of a couple characters here. We get Green Lantern Hal Jordan. That's why I kind of threw it in the mix here. We get Kate Kane Batwoman, and we get Tim Drake Red Robin. So we're starting to dig a little deeper. It's not Batman and Superman. It's still higher level, but it's not those upper tier guys where it's just like, yes, everyone knows this.
Yes.
So I'll do them really, really quick here. Green Lantern, his dad was a fighter pilot, test pilot, and died in a crash while testing a plane. Of course, this made Hal Jordan and his family sad, but he decided he was not going to run away from fear. He was going to run towards it and became a test pilot himself. Unfortunately, Hal Jordan does not conform to military lifestyle. He's a little brash, he's a little loud, and he ends up getting busted down for decking his commanding officer in the face. And that is when Abba Sur, the Green Lantern of Earth's sector at that time,
playing a lot of shirtless volleyball games.
A lot of shirtless volleyball. Played with the boys. Abba Sur crashes his ship, and this is where I kind of like this one quite a bit. Venditti did this issue, or this little origin story. A lot of parallels drawn between the crash of his father and the crash of Abba Sur, where it was, I approached the ship, I wasn't afraid because the only thing I could think of was, does this guy have a kid somewhere that's sad that his dad died in a crash as well? Which, again, is this another plot seed thing? Because that would be really a good place to go if Abba Sur has a kid somewhere who thinks he should be the wielder of his father's ring or something like that. Ooh, drama! Come on, buddy. I was hoping that's kind of where he's leading it to. If not, it was still a nice little linkage right there between what they were doing. But basically, it's just him. He finds himself in another military once more, still does not conform to military lifestyle, but now he's part of the GL Corps, gets trained by Arkello, pals around with Sinestro and before he goes evil, and then that kind of leads us into the present day, at least the start of the New 52. Or at least the stories that happened in between the start of the New 52 and now. Green Lantern's still always going to be really weird when it comes to saying where that starts and what counts and everything like that. Batwoman Kate Kane. Again, just like the issues of Detective in her origin, she was abducted with her mom and sister on her 12th birthday, and it looked like her mom and sister were killed during the abduction as her dad and his team, the Murder of Crows, came and saved her. And obviously we know the sister made it out alive, but was all scarred and messed up.
Weird.
Yeah. But at this point, it was just obviously crushing to the family. Jacob, the father, is just crying downstairs as she's sitting up in her room opening her presents for her birthday. It's not happy at all. I mean, this is a bleak Batwoman. She joins the military to follow in her father's footsteps, but leaves West Point because she refuses to hide her sexuality. So she comes out as gay, and they boot her out. She refuses to hide it, or don't ask, don't tell. She won't follow it. She's just going to come out and be proud about it. Her dad is actually pretty supportive about it. It's a really good scene. I liked it. She ends up coming back to Gotham City, stops a mugging on herself, like some random thug tries to mug her, and she beats him down senseless, and Batman just kind of pops out and goes, "Bat props, good job, don't do it all the time," and then just swings away. And that's when she gets the idea. She's like, that was kind of cool. I should get into that. And she starts doing the vigilante stuff. Her dad tells her to stop, but he knows she's not going to, so he decides he's going to help train her and actually get her to know what she's doing. So he sends her all over the world to his various Black Ops contacts, one of them being Shadow in Japan.
Okay.
So now we have a link between Green Arrow and Batwoman. Kind of weird. Weird. And she ends up coming back, getting the new costume that her dad puts together.
I was gonna say, was there a scene where he introduced her to his pleather supplier?
No, but apparently he has people back here. It's all military surplus, and he's like, so that flak jacket, does it come in black bat shape? Just asking.
Yeah.
And then she ends up meeting Maggie Sawyer. They get into a relationship, and that leads us into the start of the New 52 for that one. Last one, Tim Drake. Genius, Olympic-level gymnast, Gary Stu all around, has figured out who Batman is after he notices Batman is acting very erratic when Robin just disappears one day. Jason Todd Robin, because as you know, Kelly, what happened to him? As you know, Kelly, what happened to Jason Todd Robin?
Jason Todd, is that Red Hood?
Yes. What happened to him that between being Robin and Red Hood?
His mind got wiped out?
Well, yes.
That happened at one point.
That literally happened with a crowbar and an explosion because the Joker killed him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
The Joker put presents for him, right?
Well, that was the first Robin that died, and that was left Batman crushed, and he was being very angry and militant, and in this case, Tim Drake sees him acting all weird and figures out it is Bruce Wayne. Does his little cat and mouse. It's just like the Zero issue where we got his past in Teen Titans, and he confronts Batman and says, "I want to be your Robin. I'm going to help you out. Look how awesome I am. I figured out who you are." And he's like, "You didn't figure out who I am. You have no idea who I am." And he throws all these different things out there to throw him off the trail. Eventually, Tim Drake goes, "Well, okay, if I can't come to you, I'll make you come to me, and I'll show you how good I am." Steals a bunch of money from the Penguin and gives it all to charity via hacking the Penguin's computers. And that's when the Penguin sends goons out to kill him and his family, and Batman is forced to save him. Does not go well whatsoever, but his parents are put into protective custody, and he ends up taking Tim Drake under his wing because he knows he's not going to stop being a pain in his ass until he finally lets him become a Robin. And that's when we get the scene where he goes, "Okay, Jason Todd was the last one. I'm not going to be exactly like you. I'm going to be Red Robin. I'm not going to be just Robin. I'm going to do it my own way, but I'll try to honor you as best I can." And then he does that for a couple months, maybe a year, and then decides his talents are better used going after Nowhere and helping the kids with the Teen Titans, and he goes his own way. So
Let's tidied up some questions.
Yeah, it was basically just... The main thing that they changed was in the Zero issue, it was Batman ended up outwitting him, and he never actually pieced together that Bruce Wayne was Batman. In this one, he doesn't mention that he already knows. He just basically pretends that, "Oh, Batman, you surprised me. I didn't know you were Bruce Wayne." I knew it was Bruce Wayne the whole time. But I just wanted to give him that little bit of, pride left that some little kid didn't figure out his secret identity. So they kind of gave that back to Tim Drake while keeping the stuff from the Zero issues still there.
It's nice to see his parents are still alive.
Yes. So I heard that was kind of an issue in the pre-52 as well.
Well, in pre-52, they were alive, and it was just sort of like, he would sneak out of the house and go play Robin with Batman, and then eventually Captain Boomerang killed his parents for some reason.
Because boomerangs?
Yeah. Noted Batman villain Captain Boomerang. What?
Boomerang? Maybe the Batarangs were infringing too much on his thing.
Possibly.
And he was like, hey, I'm the boomerang guy here.
More like bidet, mate.
Oi. So I'm going to go back to the Lantern stuff. I just threw that in there because we did get Hal Jordan stuff. Again, Secret Origins, it seems to be not diverting away from anything that has been told already. It's just a lot of it is centralized. If you weren't following any of these characters, they are kind of nice little snapshot intros to who they are and what they do. So if that's what you want, it's a nice little sampler size thing.
As I've said, it'll make an awesome trade for new readers.
Yes. Next up, though, comes Larfleeze number 12, the great finale of Larfleeze, where it's Larfleeze, Gnort, and the Wanderer versus the Tuathan gods, those gods from another dimension, and the entire enslaved robot populace of this planet of depressed robots. Because despair is one of the gods and has them all depressed. Whatever. While they're all fighting, there is a portal that these other gods made. They wanted to open up a portal over to their dimension so they could toss Larfleeze into it. And they made it out of all of the bodies of the robot people that had been murdered. It's like millions of robot people just mushed into this portal thing. And there's two of these robots that are out there trying to disarm it before it opens up and swallows up the planet. And it turns out that the ex-wife of one of the two robots is the voice that's in charge of all of this portal thing. Like, it's the AI that's in charge, and it's like, no, you owe me alimony. He's like, we're all gonna die. Who cares about alimony? You never cared about the kids. So that's kind of going on in the background the entire time there. It's a lot of fighting, and it finally comes down to the point where Larfleeze is just like, enough, no more. I am tired of all this crap, and basically holds them at gunpoint. He just has like a giant ball of energy that he's gonna smite these gods with, and he goes, I'm not all evil. The great and powerful Larfleeze is merciful as well, so if you all relent to me and let me just put you somewhere and you just don't mess with my stuff, I will let you live. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw this at you and kill you. And they go, okay, we relent, we give up. But, quick question, how do we know if we're messing with your stuff? And he's like, that's pretty easy, because what is my stuff? Everything is Larfleeze's stuff, so don't mess with anything whatsoever. And he sends the Wanderer off to take them off, and she dumps these new gods, well, these other dimensional gods, off with the Council of 10, that indecisive group of people.
Yes, there's only 9 of them, yes.
Yes, and says, they will decide your fate. And they're like, but first we will decide lunch. Let us recess for 9 billion years while we figure it out. And they're like, no, we're trapped here. That portal, though, that was up there was overloading because the robots just could not deal with his ex-wife, and finally Larfleeze is just like, nah, and he uses his construct to send it away where it implodes elsewhere. And it finally comes to a close. All this war that was going on, everything's done, and he turns to Gnort, and he's like, hey, Gnort, good job, thanks for the help, buddy. And Gnort's like, yeah, thanks for your help too, and knocking out those gods, but I am a Green Lantern, and you're Agent Orange. I gotta haul you in, man. You look at your rap sheet. It's like a mile long. I have to haul you in. And that's when Gnort's ring, his little Green Lantern ring, pipes up and goes, nope, sorry, Green Lantern rules. You can't arrest him. He goes, what do you mean I can't arrest him? I'm Gnort. I'm the greatest Green Lantern that ever lived. Of course I can arrest him. No, you can't arrest him because it's not allowed for Green Lantern members to arrest family members. They're like, what? Family members? Yeah, he's your cousin, man. You can't arrest him. You, Gnort, the greatest Green Lantern that ever lived, are a cousin to Larfleeze. And they both go like, oh, cousins, awesome. There's actually this great scene where it's Larfleeze's ring and Gnort's ring commiserating with how miserable they are that they got stuck with these two. And it's like, yeah, I was supposed to go to Tomar Ray, but there was a mix-up at the shop, and I get this jackass instead. Oh, yeah, well, try dealing with Larfleeze just one day. One day deal with Larfleeze. It's a very cute scene. I kind of liked it. And
wait, so their rings talk?
Yeah, they have they're part of the mainframe. Remember, they have this whole thing. But I guess these two, their rings are quasi sentient. They're
So
at
they've
least
got
aware
snark?
enough. Yes, they are very snarky rings. Everything in Larfleeze is snarky. But Larfleeze is elated to have a cousin. Offers Gnort the sidekick position to his domination of everything, and the two of them go off to have adventures together. And as they fly away, the camera pans over, and we see poor Stargrave is buried under rubble going, yep, they forgot about me again. But it does say the end until next month when Pulsar Stargrave, Haberdasher of the Cosmos, #1 comes out. Never. And I was like, oh, I would read that too. I would at least read an issue of it. Again, it's cutesy. I like the Collins artwork. It's kind of fun. There's a lot of lightheartedness, and it's Gnort and freaking Larfleeze.
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna get at that point. It's very fun. But everyone keeps pronouncing his name Gnat. And he's like, it's Gnort, not Gnat. Anyway, moving on. What do you got, Brian?
I've got Futures End #8. Continuing on with the dystopian future of 5 years from now.
I'm trying to remember what happened in this one.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. But
A lot of stuff.
oh, you go through it. I'll jump in
all
as
right,
you go.
I'm going storyline by storyline. Cadmus Island, which now composes a lot of different characters we've been following up until this point. King Faraday has made Grifter Deathstroke's new sidekick. Deathstroke's not too sure about this.
Yes.
We also see 52 confronting Grifter about this. She's not very happy because she is Deathstroke's sidekick.
Yes.
And she demonstrates how unhappy she is by flinging Grifter across the island into the water so he can get beat up by Omax. Then just as soon as he's about to get beat up, she pulls him right back. She's like, check out what I can do.
Yeah.
I can do anything.
Now
She's
you
like,
know not to do that.
yeah, that was ridiculously powerful. Why do you hate me so much? She's like, no. I'm just letting you know where you stand. If I actually hated you, I would rip off your skin and dump you in salt water.
I heard that would hurt.
Yes, very much so.
It does seem like they don't remember Team 7, though.
Oh,
Because Deathstroke's like, who is this Grifter guy? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe it was Grifter became Grifter so far afterwards that he doesn't know it's Coal Cash, but you would think he would since he sent Faraday out to get him. You would think that would be pretty easy.
I think Faraday did it on his own volition.
Okay. All right.
And they were talking about his powers. Like, how do we know he actually sees these things? So
Yeah, well, they haven't met yet,
Yeah.
so I'm curious if it's when Deathstroke sees him, he's like, oh, God, Coal Cash again? Ah. Because things went swimmingly when we were on Team 7.
Do we want to talk about who 52 might be? Or do we want to leave that alone?
Go ahead. Go for
Okay.
it. You,
Yeah,
are you quoting fact, or are you...
I'm quoting Mark F. Grave on Facebook.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Who said, he's like, man, dumping someone in salt water after ripping their skin off with their near omnipotent powers seems a little locust, doesn't it?
It does indeed.
Seems a little locust. We got one of the writers here.
As he says, that's so Locust.
That's so locust. She can be played by Raven Simone in Batman v Superman. So we continue on from there. Lois Lane, checking in at the fast lane. She needs to figure out the rest of her clues in her clue box that she got. The Wounded Duck
Is there
matchbook.
teeth in it? Are there children's teeth in her clue box?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of something else.
It's like, are there blue paw prints on the clues?
There might be. That'd be great.
That would be, actually.
A clue.
Yeah, so the Wounded Duck matchbook, it led her to Red Robin, who, as we all know, is living under the name Rutabaga Tricklebank.
Ah, you messed it up.
Messed it up. Trying to sneak it in there.
You were so happy. You were like just looking back and forth. You're like, I'm going to get it through this time.
Her blog's intelligence specialist figures out that the random numbers that she got that also said, go to this place alone, are map coordinates.
Are you
Who'd
sure
have
they
thought?
don't open a hatch?
I don't know. All I know is that apparently her blog's intelligence specialist also runs the side blog nocrap.fastlane.blogspot.com. So she figures out the coordinates would also drop her into the middle of the ocean as if she'd be going to an island of some sort.
Maybe she's going to Atlantis.
Maybe.
Yeah. They're just going to drop her in the ocean with weights on her feet. Bloop, bloop. And so ended the career of Lois Lane.
Yeah. Jason Rush. is trying to build a teleporter with Dr. Yamakaze. His teleporter fails. A big explosion destroys a plate that his wife was on.
Hey, that was sad.
It was sad. It was the last thing he had to remember her.
Yeah, she died in the Great Earth 2 War.
Yes, I personally wouldn't have used a priceless artifact
Yes,
to test my thing.
teleporter, but hey,
yeah.
you know. At least he didn't just jump into it with a whole bunch of flies and go,
Yeah,
surely nothing bad will happen.
There is that. After it fails, Masked Superman just sort of shows up silently behind Jason Rush. He's like, so, what you doing? We didn't give you that, did we? He's like, no, you didn't. Maybe you shouldn't be doing stuff like that, Jason Rush. You missed Firestorm on the Justice League. Maybe you should come back to the Justice League instead of building teleporter technology that I don't want you to build. Okay, Superman. I don't know where my other guy is, so I can't really do that, but I'll get back to you. And Masked Superman just kind of slowly flies backwards.
It was greatly insinuated that he's the one that destroyed the test.
Yes.
That he used his little X-ray vision or whatever to break wiring somewhere, and that's what overloaded everything and caused the power spike, because he was stealing schematics from the JLA, even though he wasn't.
Yeah.
But this guy seems kind of douchey.
Just
this
a little
Superman. I don't think it is Superman.
Yeah, with the mask, I would assume.
Or it could be Superman.
Maybe.
From Earth 2, Super Douche Superman.
No, Super Douche would be if it was...
Oh, that's the
Justice League
future
3000,
Superman.
yeah.
Okay, I'm talking super evil Superman from Earth
Yes.
2. And they just put the helmet on him, and he's like, no, I've always been good Superman.
Perhaps someone who got scarred recently? I don't know. So, checking in with Frankenstein, off at the carrier, investigating the death of Stormwatch.
I forgot.
Ray Palmer, the Atom, it's like, hey, Frankenstein, can I see your sword for a second? I'm getting a little message from my superiors that we have a quota to meet. You're missing an arm, so let me take your sword. Chops off dead Hawkman's arm.
And that's
Ding.
our quota.
Yep. It's like, all right, now we can replace your arm. It looked like it was about the right size, and we can continue on with our business.
So is it going to be Frankenstein with nth metal now?
Makes you wonder.
Because that would be an entirely different twist right there. Mm-hmm. If all of a sudden he has nth metal properties as well.
Frankenstein that can regenerate dead body parts. Does he become alive then with the nth metal?
Ooh, that would be weird.
That would be weird.
All of a sudden he was just mortal then?
Yeah.
That
Poor
would
guy.
be weird.
Way to go, Ray.
But still doesn't like fire.
No.
Or villagers. Any village he runs across, he just raises it to the ground.
Checking in with a new spot. Well, kind of.
Before you move on, though?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I've noticed on Reddit in the last, 2 or 3 weeks, and it's the main thing that I have to give kudos to this book and, the Batman and Ra's al Ghul little thing that had Frankenstein in it recently. He's been popping up all over the place, JLD all over. There's been a competition of who has the most badass panel of Frankenstein on Reddit, where it's just everyone posting these different pictures of Frankenstein just doing badass things, and all these people that don't read all these little side titles are like, I don't know anything about this guy. Is he always this badass? It's just no one has a shortage of panels of him just being a badass. Sorry, I just want to toss that out there.
Frankenstein's awesome.
I saw it this week and I was like, yeah, maybe this push is actually going to work and people are going to embrace him.
Man, I hope so. I hope so. If anything stays from Seven Soldiers, it's got to be Frankenstein. So, we're checking in Southeast Asia all of a sudden. Some random dudes they go and they discover a lost city of gold that's just covered with Brainiac symbols, and they're assaulted by some kind of parasite robot.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me,
It
too.
looked like the old school parasite, but like a robot, almost like a machine man robot. And it just murders the crap out of them.
Yeah, well, welcome to the team.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and then Constantine's new sidekick / bed buddy, Midge, she suddenly wakes up after having a vision of that scene, and she knows that the end of the world is coming.
Almost like a future's end?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An end of the future?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Constantine's just like, yep, I already knew that. I'm Constantine. Come on.
Come on.
But it's nice that you can be on the same level as me for at least just a moment.
Just that brief moment.
Yes.
You want a cigarette now?
Yeah. I did like the conversation between the two nameless Asian dudes who found the city, where they were talking about how cavalier they were about destroying Earth 2.
Yes.
It's funny that we We called them Earth 2. We obviously thought they were less than us. We don't call ourselves Earth 1, but we know where we feel in the standings,
Yeah,
right?
we kind of put ourselves there
just by calling them number 2.
by default, by just saying, you're number 2. Those guys came from 3 a couple years ago and trashed the play.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they have started at 2 then?
Yeah, really.
Shouldn't it really be Earth 2 as the crime syndicate because that was the first interdimensional ones they came across?
I suppose if Superman and Batman had the naming conventions down and were feeding it to Lois Lane and whatnot, Earth 2 is technically the first one they encountered.
Fair enough. I forgot about that past story when they went and visited themselves. Okay, I will leave it be then.
We'll allow it.
I'll let it slide,
We just no-prized it.
yeah. I still enjoy it, though. It is a slow burn. When did that become an insult in comics? Slow burn.
Marvel Knights era.
Okay. I've just noticed
When suddenly everything had to be a 6-issue arc.
Yeah, I've just noticed that people are using it in a derogatory sense instead of it's building. There's obviously...
See, it's one thing if it's a slow burn on a weekly book where you're actually getting progression every single week. It was when you were waiting a half a year to get a whole story.
Yeah.
And it felt like nothing was happening those first 3 or 4 issues. Then finally you got to the payoff. That was when people started throwing on decompression and all the other stuff.
I have no problems with that. I can completely understand the decompression arguments. There is a lot of right for trade that's out there right now. Yeah. But when it comes to a slow burn, to me, it was always used as it's building. You're watching the fire build and build and build and build, and eventually it's a raging inferno of all this stuff going on. That's a positive. That's a way of describing a story and how it's building on itself. It's not just instantly first minute in media res, action, go, everything's exploding for the next... It's not Transformers. It's not Transformers.
Nothing should be Transformers.
Exactly, and that should be a positive to me.
Yes.
I don't know. I've just noticed a lot of people are saying that. I would think it would be a slow burn for the first couple issues because these are not top-tier characters.
Yeah.
We're introducing people to these characters, and you have to give a crap about them because I don't think all of them are going to make it through to the end.
Yeah.
It's in the future... It's kind of already a grab bag of an alternate timeline, possibly.
These could all get reset at the end.
Yeah, so you have to make the people know and care about the characters before you kill them off. Otherwise, it just becomes a bunch of cynical people.
Yeah.
Just going, oh, you chopped off another arm. Good job, Ray Palmer.
Yeah.
So, speaking of not being cynical, we got a new creative team on Superman.
Yes, we do.
The S stands for hope.
Yes.
Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr. seems to have quite the following.
Yes, he
People
does.
seem to enjoy his artwork, and I see why after reading this issue.
Oh, this is your first experience with him?
I don't know who this guy is.
Gotcha.
Why would I know who this guy is?
This is true. You're right. That is very true.
But yes, very clean, very a lot of storytelling in the art itself. It's very well done. Facial expressions tell stories in and of themselves. It's very enjoyable, and it works for this title, at least the first issue. We'll see where it goes from here. I read an interview where he was actually daunted. This guy has a couple of years in comic books, right?
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah, well, he was right.
And his father is one of the most famous comic creators of all time.
Well, that's a little pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
There's a reason he's a junior.
Okay. There was an interview.
A little bit to live up to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an interview where he was like, I've been doing this a little bit, and this is probably the first job I've taken in a long time where I'm actually physically daunted at what I'm doing here because it's Superman with Jeff Johns, and it's like a lot of people have a lot of eyes on me in this book, and I have a feeling this might kind of dictate where my career goes from here. So I'm happy to see that it did work out, at least for this first issue. It's a very promising start. So let's talk about storyline then. As Kelly steals the issue off the desk.
Like, we just intrigued her.
Look how convenient this whole new setup is here. I had them in order. They're spread out for you. You can just grab them as you need them, flip through, enjoy the artwork. The storyline 25 years ago, under the fine state of Nebraska, in something called the Ulysses Lab. It looks like scientists from around the world.
We'll get there.
Scientists from around the world were testing and finding ways to interact with various dimensions. Dimension 2, Dimension 3, Dimension 4. Doesn't seem to be like Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 4, but actual physical dimensions like time, space, etc., etc.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if they're talking about the fifth dimension as another possibility. You can go through these.
Ding! And that seems where a lot of people seem to be thinking they're reintroducing hyper time and stuff like that, because the fifth dimension has a lot to do with it, and blah, whatever. Moving on. Unfortunately, slight lab accident accidentally lets out some of the dark matter from the second dimension that is actually eating everything. All the antimatter from there is just kind of eating through all the matter here, and eventually it is going to eat through the entire planet Earth and the cosmos and the galaxy and the universe, and so they decide they're going to detonate the lab. Unfortunately, two parents, a couple that were scientists in the lab there, I guess there's a daycare in the lab as well. Their child was there as well.
Oh, it just had to happen on Take Your Kid to Work Day.
Yeah. They decide that they can save their child because Dimension 4 looked kind of idyllic. It looked kind of nice, and we have this one little baby-sized escape pod thing that we were just going to send stuff over to them to try to talk to them. Let's put our baby in here.
Send over the dog Einstein, you know.
Yeah, and rocket him off to a new hope, a new planet, a new dimension as we die in this explosion here. And that's
It
what they do.
kind of makes me think of Lucius Malfoy from, or I mean, not Malfoy. Yeah, Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter, the movies.
The way he looks.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
they,
I mean,
they do look very Malfoy-ish.
looks very Malfoy-ish.
Okay.
If you need a visual reference for what these characters look like.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was going to say the story should remind you of Superman.
Yes.
It should explicitly remind you of Superman.
But the people, the artwork's nice. I do like it. And
I was just going to slack-jawed stare at you if you went, this story reminds me of Harry Potter, and I'm like, this is Superman's story right here. In the Superman is standing right next to the guy going, hey guys, get it? It's just like my story. You're like, no, I think it's more like Harry Potter.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just saying that the dad kind of.
Yes. Visually, he looks a lot
And,
like
and see, it goes back to the question of how we picked things. It's like you were talking about how pretty the art was, so I picked the book. Was that the first book I actually picked off the desk?
It was.
See, you told me about pretty artwork, so I looked at it, and it does have pretty artwork.
I'm just going to say pretty artwork on every book then, and you don't have to look at them all. So let's jump to the present day. That was our analog Superman origin story for another character that perhaps we'll see soon. In the present day, we're reestablishing the status quo. We're bringing it up to the present day and letting everyone know, since this is a new jump on point, kind of where Lobdell and Pack and all these other guys have left the Superman mythos and where it looks like it's going to be moving forward. Basically, we pick up with Superman beating down Titano. Is that who that is?
Titano, the super ape, mega ape.
The robot ape?
Well, now he's a robot, apparently.
He's a giant robot ape.
Titano's a robot.
Yeah, that's what I laughed about, was the picture of,
You know who that is, right? That's that ape that was over the bed at Kalahari. It's scary. I'm going to do bad things to you as you sleep, ape.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
It's a completely frightening painting just hanging over your bed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyhow, Jimmy Olsen is still trying to take photos for the Daily Planet, and he's not very good at it. He keeps just like snapping pictures, and he just has red and blue blurs, and he's trying to sell it to Perry White. Perry White's like, why are you even trying to sell these to me? Aren't you like a millionaire, billionaire? Didn't your parents disappear and leave you billions of dollars?
Hold on, I'm going to spend about a page cleaning that little thing up for you.
Well, you see, my parents disappeared.
Well, you see.
My parents disappeared, and if they do come back, when they do come back, they're going to expect me to give back every single penny that I have spent. So no, I don't want to live off that money. I need this paycheck to survive. My last investment in that whole VR video game MMO thing didn't work out too well. There was a whole world problem that erupted from it. I didn't make any money back. I barely broke even on this whole project, so not going to spend it. And he's like, fine, here's your paycheck. Get better at taking photographs of Superman, please. Gotcha, I got it. It cleaned it up. Did it not clean it up for you?
We've cleaned it up very nicely.
And it presented what was very weird.
And I did love the line of, Jimmy, why do you work for us? Because you hired me and you haven't fired me yet.
That is true yet. We also get Clark Kent coming back to the Daily Planet. Not to work. Perry White has invited him back to try to get him to come back to work, but he will not leave his ClarkCatropolis.com blog.
Doesn't get used by name.
No, it doesn't. I think they're kind of shying away from that name. It's just he works with her blog with another lady, and he's not going to leave it. Sorry, I've committed to that project. Who knows what will happen down the line? He'll probably end up back in the Daily Planet. But who knows what happens down the line? Not right now. And he gets this speech from Perry White saying, you know, Clark, I appreciate what you do. You're a quiet guy. You're a nice guy. You're an affable guy. People like you. But you always keep everyone at arm's distance. I saw it the entire time. You had the hots for Lois Lane, but you kind of kept her at distance until that John...
She's nosy much, Perry?
I know. But you stayed, you hung back too long, and now you're friend zoned because she's dating that other guy, Jonathan Carroll. You wanted all the other guys to go out for beers and wings, and you would just go home. You would never went out for lunch with anyone. You need friends, Clark. You need to decompress. You need to get out there. You need to have friends. You need to open up to people. And Clark kind of takes that to heart. He goes home, and he picks up the phone, and what my favorite scene of this entire book, he calls up his girlfriend, Diana, Wonder Woman. And he's like, hey, Diana, I just got this whole speech about hanging out with people. I need to open up more, so was about to cook up some dinner. You want to come over and do it? Oh, you're busy? Yeah? Oh, yeah, I know you and your family have a lot of issues. Fine, don't worry about it. Go deal with hell.
Finish up your story, and we'll team up later.
We'll do that later. I'll give Bruce a call. And he calls up Bruce. It's like, no, Bruce, sorry, sir, he's not here. And oh, sorry, crap. Okay, well, I guess I'll microwave up my own meal with his heat vision. He like pulls out a Hungry Man and he just goes on it and just eats it up. And it's a sad day for Superman. I kind of like him just calling up his friends and everyone's busy and he's just all by himself like, man, part of a Justice League and no one wants to even have dinner with me. Again, that's part of that meshed feeling again where I just feel like all of the books are coexisting now, or they're getting there.
Yeah.
They're getting to that point where it is a cohabitated world. And that helps sell it in the Superman books where it's like, hey, here's my relationships with these guys. Woo! So anyhow, his Hunger Man dinner, is interrupted when some interdimensional alien ship starts blowing up Metropolis, and he hears people screaming for help, and he goes, you know who this looks like a job for? Me. And he goes flying out the window.
Which is a really cool looking picture.
Yes.
Him flying out of the window, transforming into Superman. That's a great, great picture.
It really, really is. And he gets out there and finds all of these interdimensional beings who are just raising Metropolis, and he goes to fight them. And these guys are actually pretty tough. They knock him around quite a bit. Superman does not win this initial encounter against just random interdimensional foot soldier. He's like, what the hell are these guys made of? What's going on? And that's when another portal opens up. And out steps super biker guy with a big U on his chest. Not Ultraman. He's just got hair down to like his calves. Like a big old long ponytail on the back. And he comes out speaking some alien language. Clearly human, though. Clearly human. Almost like a baby that was sent across to another dimension maybe 25 years ago. He looks about 25, 26-ish. And he helps Superman out. The two of them tag team this interdimensional guy, beat him down. And as he's standing there, this guy with the long blonde hair goes, wait a minute. You speak English and you look human. Where am I? And he's like, you're in Metropolis, United States, Earth. And this guy goes, no, that can't be right. I'm the last son of Earth. I was sent away from the planet before it was destroyed and exploded. Everyone's told me this story for 70 years now. That's just kind of how it's been. That's always how it is. And he's like, no, Earth didn't blow up. Sorry, man, I don't know what you're talking about. We've been here all along, just kind of chugging along. And he's like, that is awesome. Well, my name is Ulysses, by the way. That's a big U on my chest here in my functional little tactical gear. And I guess I am alone no more. And he's all happy and beaming, standing in the middle of Metropolis because he has found his way back to his home. And if a little red robot named No-No showed up, I was going to call shenanigans. Or if this would have happened last issue. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
No.
Really? Ulysses 31? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller?
No.
Early 80s Saturday morning cartoon?
I think he's dating himself again, Kelly.
I think so, too.
It was It was the early 80s, but
Yeah.
it was good. It was the most ambitious cartoon being put out at that time.
I was born in 81, so...
Maybe it was 83. I don't know. It was early 80s. I remember that much. But it was the tale of the Odyssey being done in the 31st century sci-fi setting.
Huh.
With Ulysses out there fighting against Zeus. And it was basically, my favorite wrap-up of it is Space Jesus destroying every heathen god throughout the cosmos. Extremely ambitious. It has the best theme song ever. How have you not know this?
I've never heard of this before. I mean, it's not one of those things that shows up in the, hey, remember the 80s things? I remember watching a disturbing amount of shows where there are shirtless guys in like bikini trunks waving their swords around.
No, this was a guy in a full military uniform with an energy shield and a gun that shot a sword. Like, he would pull the trigger on the gun and a sword would come up. And I was like, that's a weird gun.
So you can bring a gun to a knife fight.
You can, if your gun makes a sword. But yeah, it had Telemachus. His son was captured by a giant cyborg robot. I've completely gone off the rails here. I'm sorry. Very ambitious. It probably doesn't hold up. But it's immediately what I thought of. I'll play the theme song as we go into break.
Okay.
Because you will understand why it just it's all about him. Oh, he got banished from Earth, and now he's fighting his way back against all the interdimensional beings.
I do miss the Explain the Premise theme song.
Yes. Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Dino saucer.
It was such a great book. I really think this is a solid start. It's gonna, I would almost say, right the ship of Superman that was kind of flailing about there for a little bit.
It occasionally righted itself.
It did. I thought it was chugging along. As I said earlier in this episode even, there were some elements of Lobdell's Superman that I actually really enjoyed.
The issue where he fights Orion is still one of my favorite things in the New 52.
Oh, that is the same issue when he goes to the costume party at Lois Lane's house,
you're right,
where she was cheap cosplay Wonder Woman with the stars.
I think that's the issue before, but yeah.
Okay. There was plenty of stuff I enjoyed in it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't right all the time. It wasn't the best thing, but I think this moving forward will kind of give it a more even tone, maybe, so that it can just stay on the good stuff, maybe, and just kind of follow through with that.
And Jeff Johns' Superman that he did with Gary Frank is one of my favorite Superman runs, period.
Right.
And it seems like he left it early to go and do other stuff, and so I'm glad that he's back.
Didn't he do the whole Krypton Returns thing? Or the Return of Krypton? Isn't that the whole thing that you told me?
That was James Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the transition from one to the next.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes more sense. I just remember one of them you told me not to read, and now you're telling me to read that one, and it's like, okay, what did the same thing? Didn't he write Grounded?
No.
That
was just J. Michael Straczynski, I believe.
Okay, gotcha. Makes more sense then. But that's it.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
People doing
awesome
stuff.
As long as they're doing stuff.
Exactly.
And things are happening.
But I highly recommend checking out Superman 32. It is worth at least a dabble if you're even moderately interested in Superman. That does wrap up the first half, though. Brian, what do you have coming up for the second?
Got Batman 32, Catwoman 32, Race of Thieves. I've got All-Star Western 32 and The Flash 32.
And I have Batman Eternal as we continue our steady trouncing forward.
We're still considering it.
Yeah, we're still considering it. Aquaman number 32. I love that title now. And I will wrap up the show with Justice League Dark number 32. So hold on a couple seconds, enjoy the 80s awesomeness, and we will be right back.
Ulysses
That was a theme song, man.
Yeah. Tell me that does not make you think of what we just read.
Well, yes, it does.
Immediately. That's why I was like, shenanigans.
It's no Swamp Thing theme song.
It's no Swamp Thing theme song. But this, it is very... there's the rumor that it's either Devo or Abba that wrote the theme song.
I could see Devo.
No one knows if it's true or not, but it makes a damn good story. So, speaking of stories, let's go
Batman
Bat
32.
Bat half.
It's 0 year still.
Still?
It's a case of Fox versus Bat as Riddler leads Batman into the middle of the city, and the nameless special ops team wants to blow it to Kingdom Come until they find out that Riddler isn't really there. Because he's sneaky. He's a Riddler. He's like a fox. A fox Riddler.
Like a Lucius Fox?
Not like a Lucius Fox.
Okay. What, like a Luke Fox?
Not like a Luke Fox. Certainly,
What about a flying fox?
Not a flying fox, even. Although we do get a lot of bat facts.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
Yeah, the Riddler just Snyderpedias the crap out of everyone with bat facts. With his Riddler bots?
Sure.
Batman was not unconscious that long, right? Like a week or two?
I don't know. The whole city was overgrown with poison ivy stuff.
Well, I mean,
and
that's poison ivy
trashed
stuff.
and-
You can do that overnight.
Yeah, I
Swamp
guess.
Thing can do that in like 2 seconds.
True.
But still, yeah, he's got this unforeseen technology 5 years ago.
He was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and he's just making fun of everyone for not being able to find him. So Riddler disables the feed between Gordon and Batman. So Lucius Fox realizes that he's going to have to save the Riddler is going to get the SEAL team blown up by their own strike force using, computers. You can basically wave your hand at this whole issue and go, computers!
Well, he hijacks their laser painter so that
Yeah.
the stupid bomb will hit where they're at instead of where they're supposed to be hitting.
Yeah, and the important thing is if they use these special strike missiles on Gotham City is built on a network of underground caves
You don't
that could
say.
possibly hold an entire continent, and the whole city would just crumble would just sink, pretty much.
Well, at least they're acknowledging that fact
Yes,
that all it would take is one missile and that whole city falls apart.
Yes, and so they try to figure out, there's got to be some kind of pattern. The Riddler is a complete bonehead about this kind of stuff. He wants to rub it in our faces. What is this? They look at the signal bounce pattern that he's redirecting everything around in the
Through
city.
the city, yeah.
And Batman goes, oh, well, obviously this looks like the ancient Sete Egyptian board game spiral. So he goes and he finds a museum or whatever that has a big Sphinx model in it, and that's where the Riddler was.
To be fair, they referenced that in the beginning of 0 Year.
Okay.
When he first met the Riddler.
Okay.
When he first met Edward Nygma, they had a conversation about the SETA board and how, yes, there used to be games all the time, and I'm a fan of games. How about you, Bruce Wayne? And they had a whole conversation about it. So there was a reason.
There is a reason. This is one of those early issues I didn't read. So he goes and finds Nygma at the museum's Egyptian exhibit, which Riddler has turned into a neon death trap. As if there wasn't enough neon, purple and green already in this book, thanks to the Riddler. Even more neon. It looks like the 80s just threw up all over everything. Actually, not even 80s, early 90s.
Was Ulysses there?
Ulysses was not there. Like I said, this is more Saved by the Bell neon than
Okay,
anything else.
Gotcha. All the weird bubble letters all over the place. Batman.
Inexplicable pink flamingo and sunglasses clip art,
Okay, fair enough.
So-
My favorite part was Batman acknowledging the fact that the Riddler is putting out way too many Snyder facts and stopping it. He's like, no more Bat facts.
Yes.
No stealing my shtick. It seemed very self-aware. The
Yes.
entire scene was very self-aware of, okay, that's enough little fun facts.
If anyone can do it, it's the Riddler. So,
Yes.
as I've said before, I think.
So it's a fun, we're wrapping up. Just about done with the 0 Year stuff.
Yeah, like I said,
it's going to be kind of weird when this comes back to the present day.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to react to that.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be... Because is Batman Eternal going to be the linchpin, or is Batman going to be the central driving force for the Bat family?
Is Batman going to slowly shift out of Eternal? It's just going to be the sidekicks, and he goes back to Forefront and Batman?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Mind blown.
Throw my hands up in the air.
But let's talk about Batman Eternal, because it has been another week, which means another issue of Batman Eternal. namely number 12 this week. We get the 12th issue. I don't know if you guys were aware
of an 80-part series.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a gang war in Gotham City.
A gang war in Gotham City? You don't say.
Really?
Yes, there is. We've just learned that there is a network of caves and tunnels and possibly an entire continent under Gotham City. Now there's gang wars as well. In this case, it's Falcone versus the Penguin, as Falcone has returned back to Gotham and wants to reclaim the city. So they're having a gang war. And
when that involved orca throwing.
Yeah, orcas and, just whatever you need. Tiger sharks.
Penguin's just like, man, I only have so many long-range missiles. I can't deal with this orca throwing.
It is his M.O. Mm-hmm. Who do you think could stop this gang war from happening, though? If you had to assemble a team, who would be on it and what would you call them?
I'd put Plastic Man on it, so I'd be a terrible person.
Yeah, you would fail immediately because the only people that could possibly stop this are the new Jason Bard, Lieutenant Bard, Detective Bullock, and Maggie Sawyer. And they're going to come together and form a new murder squad to get out there and stop this gang war from happening.
Take that, Keys and Alvarez. You weren't picking up the slack. We'll see what you were doing.
Yeah, we'll
see what you were doing.
We'll talk about them in a little bit because I have many words about Keys and Alvarez. In this case, though, Jason Bard says, I have a plan. I can stop this gang war by the end of the week. That's how awesome I am. But it's a little out there. It's a little crazy. Not everyone's going to probably sign off on it, and we're going to have to bring a couple other people in on the plan to help us actually do it. And they're like, okay, well, let's get to work. So let's go elsewhere because it is also James Gordon, ex-Commissioner James Gordon's day in court, his entire trial. This is the OJ trial of the DCU. They're hauling him in, and as he's being led through, he's put in the back of the van, and the guards are in the back with him, or at least a guard. And immediately he sees it's Batman wearing the helmet, and he's underneath there, and he's like, if you're going to pretend to be that guy, you should be sleeping by now, because he's never that attentive. How's it going, Batman? What you doing here? And he's like, hey, Gordon, just wanted to stop by, see how you're doing, make sure there's nothing I can do. And he's like, nope. I trust the justice system. No breaking me out. No get me out of this. I've fought my entire life to prove that the justice system is fair. If you find proof that I'm innocent, I'll go free. If not, I will go down as a horrible person.
So Batman shrinks the glove in the dryer so that it doesn't...
Yeah, he's sitting there with a hair dryer going...
Alfred, don't do it the right way this time.
If it doesn't fit, I think we quit. I don't know. Just thought that up myself. So yeah, we get that hot litigation action we were promised years and years ago, it seems. Back when the Creeper promised us some suing action.
I know.
We get it in Batman Eternal, and it is an all-out decimation by the prosecution in the opening statements. They beat it down.
Does he use the Chewbacca defense?
No, he doesn't. What he does do, though, is prove that James Gordon's character, Commissioner James Gordon's character, is not what is on trial. He's a great man. He's a hero. He's saved the city multiple times. We know this. He was negligent in this case. So all those other things he did, we acknowledge him. We thank him for it. That's not what this trial is about. So the defense is going to come at you and say, but he's such a nice guy. That's not what we're doing. And the defense is like, that was our plan. So we don't really have much more than that. And James just kind of rolls with the punches. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to see how this plays out. Now, outside the court, more importantly, covering this case, Vicky Vale and BuzzFeed Joey.
BuzzFeed Joey?
Yep,
I can't even make a Prince joke if BuzzFeed Joey's here.
They're standing out front, and Vicky Vale's like, man, everyone is here. Lois Lane from the Fast Lane is here. Well, she's from the Daily Planet at this point.
Thank you.
Everyone is covering this story. So what is the real story? This whole court case is completely covered. What are people hiding that they want everyone on this instead of going out there and finding stuff?
Joey does have 10 facts about Lois Lane that will blow your mind.
Whoa! And you'll be amazed at what she does next.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky Vale decides that she wants to go find the real story. And that's when Jason Bard steps out of the shadows and he goes, you wanted to find the real story, huh? Well, I have a crazy plan and I need your help to do it.
Your jaw will be on the floor.
So BuzzFeed Joey technically also brought in on this plan.
Nice.
If Bard is doing it. So we may get the BuzzFeed Joey team out there still.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed Joey. So we get our little side vignettes. You know how we have all these little storylines going on. We'll just hop through them real quick. First stop, Brazil, where Batgirl and Red Hood are palling around with El Gaucho. El Gaucho is just off with the women and music and the booze. He's doing his own thing. But Batgirl is royally pissed. And this is actually a very poignant scene where she is telling... She's so mad that Batman has sent Jason Todd, Red Hood, to come babysit her because she has more tenure than him. Now that Nightwing's out of the picture, she is the longest-running Bat family member out there right now.
This guy was dead for a while.
Yeah, and he wasn't even alive for the entire time, but she even started before him, and she's like, this is just because Batman didn't choose me. I went my own way and just did it. I didn't ask for licensing or anything like that. I just went and did it, and that's why he's always been scorning me. That's why he's always just kept me at arm's distance. Well, screw you, hippie. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm getting out there, and I'm going to find who did this to my dad. And Jason Todd's like, that's fine. Be mad. I'm going to stop you. I'm not Batman. I'm all about the rage thing. You keep that. You let that fuel you. You let it get you out
like
there.
a serrated knife.
Yeah, I have a backlog of them over here on my motorcycle. But what you are doing wrong, you're being sloppy. You're missing a lot of facts. You're just chasing down wild leads. You're in Brazil. This happened in Gotham City, and you're chasing down some soap star in Brazil. You're a little off course. You need to be course corrected. That's why I'm here. I'm going to help you out with that. She goes, well, fine. The court case has already started. We're running out of time. Get on the bike. Let's get out there and find out who did this. So we have the team up of Batgirl, Red Hood out there now, riding off into the sunset. Story B. Red Robin is out there fighting crime. Yeah. Remember how he ran across Harper Row and her brother and stuff like that a couple of issues back?
There was nanites for some reason?
Yeah, there were nanites all over the place. Harper used that time while he was there to hack into his personal network that he has on his suit and is now rifling through his files, and Red Robin is alerted to this fact and ends up sending out some gray ice, some intrusion countermeasures that fries her computer, puts like a little, sorry about this, Harper, fries her computer. And she's like, ooh, I'll get you. Yes. Yes, if you want to go the George Wendt route. So
George Wendt, come on.
Who was it in that?
Newman,
that's right. Sorry.
Whose name I can't remember.
Yes,
Sorry, man.
That's fine. I'm sure he'll get over. So, third little vignette. Alfred and Julia, his daughter, are back at Wayne Manor, and they're kind of enjoying some tea.
Wayne S. Knight.
Wayne S. Knight?
Yeah.
What?
Newman.
Oh, yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Knight. We're talking about Batman. I should
well done.
be on our job
well
with
done.
this.
The Wayne Knight. So, they're having some tea, talking about things, and she's like, why'd you give it up, man? You were a world-class surgeon. You were a combat medic, an actor. You were on stage with Clayface before you became Clayface, and you out-acted him. What's up, man? Why are you being a servant here? And he's like, trust me, it's a tough job. Just trust me on this one. And that's when Tim Drake comes kicking in the door, and he's like, Alfred, that stupid little girl hacked my computer. And that's when he looks over, and he sees Julia there, and he's like, well, who's this? And Alfred tells him, well, that's my daughter. She's just visiting for a bit. She's recuperating. He's like, oh, that's cool. Nice. Wait, what? That's your daughter? What? Alfred, you have a... Alfred got busy? That's weird. I don't even want to think about that. And he's like, oh, girlfriend trouble. Let me go talk to him in the other room. And they go in the other room. And, of course, Tim Drake's like, who the hell is this Harper Row chick? I left town for like a little bit. I come back, you've got some blue-haired girl just running around doing weird stuff, hacking my computer systems. Apparently Batman knows who she is and is all buddy-buddy with her. Who the heck is this girl? And Alfred's like, yeah, she saved Batman's life once. And Tim's just like, what? Who is she? And he's like, here's all the intel. Well, fine, I'm going to look it all up because I'm going to pay her a visit here soon. I just love the fact that Tim's just... man, this girl keeps messing with my toy. So let's go back to the main storyline of this one. Lieutenant Bard and Detective Bullock use the phone number that was used before the bat signal was put on top of the GCPD and call Batman and say, hey, meet us over here at this construction thing. And Batman shows up and goes, where did you get that number? dude, we're friends with Commissioner Gordon. Come on.
Yeah.
You're a detective. I'm sure you could have figured that one out. He's like, well, what do you want? What's going on here? Well, I have a crazy plan that can stop this whole gang war and get the police off your back, but in order for us to do it, we have to take you in. You have to let us capture you. And are you cool with that? And that's kind of where we leave that story, because we have one final thing that's happening, our capstone of this issue. Commissioner Gordon in Oz is being led away by a corrupt guard because he has a visitor, and he is thrown into a room where he looks up and sees his one-eyed son, James Gordon Jr., looking at him, who he thinks is dead. Remember, that was the whole Batgirl Wanted thing where he thought Batgirl killed his son. And he's like, hey, Pops, looks like you're in the slammer too. Ha ha! Sucks to be you. So I guess we're going to have that coming back into the fold once more again as well. So that was an issue.
So does he have to say, I'm sorry to Ricky or whatever his name is for, everything, and sorry to Batgirl and...
No. That's
all
the best
sorts
thing
of
about being
apologies.
James Gordon Jr. or James Gordon. You never have to say you're sorry.
Okay, because, I mean, he held quite the vendetta, but...
Yeah. And he shot his daughter's boyfriend through the spine.
Yep.
Well done. Good play there, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll help on the character witness stand when the one-legged boyfriend of his daughter shows up and goes, yeah, he shot me.
And the bear trap thing? No, that was just me. That was beforehand. Don't worry about
That's completely unrelated to this whole thing. I was in a garage that some supervillain owns.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's trucking along. Definitely moving a lot of story pieces there. But
We've got
it's that
something
time.
far more important to talk about
We
in the
do.
Bat universe.
We do.
Catwoman 32, Race of Thieves, Leg 3.
This is it. This is what I just talked about Superman and Ulysses 31, how I felt like it was kind of pulling from that cartoon. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you know what cartoon this one's pulling from.
Oh, yes.
So I'll go ahead. You can use it. It's all yours.
Our very own Penelope Pitstop, Catwoman, is in her supercharged nitro-burning funny car racing through Southeast Asia to try and catch Roulette, who is standing on top of
A
bullet
train.
train, firing in the air, saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm the greatest thief in the world. Catch me if you can."
And that's our race.
That's our race. They're chasing down a bullet train, which is heading towards a finish line. I don't even know.
And everyone has their own vehicle.
Everyone has their own wacky vehicles.
This is so wacky racist.
Yeah, I know. And of course, the first thing I love immediately, you know what Catwoman hates just as much as Doomsday Preppers and cryptocurrency? Gas guzzling Humvees. Weep womp. You don't get any traction in those Humvees. You're wasting so much gas. Ha ha ha. Mirror Master is in a bullet-shaped spaceship, which also has wheels on it, because eventually it crashes and it just starts racing along the ground with everyone else.
Who doesn't put wheels on their bullet-shaped spaceship?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I mean, only people in Cleveland would get this, but it's like that thing.
It's like that weird missile car, yeah.
Yeah, from like the beach thing.
Yeah. The Euclid
That's very
Beach.
descriptive.
The
Euclid Beach rocket car.
Yeah.
I see it driving around all the time, and yes, that is what I think of now.
Everything kind of looks like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
For some reason, on a motorcycle, Rat Tail is there.
Not established in this
Who
entire
has not?
race of
He hasn't been in a participant in the race of these, but there he is on a motorcycle in Southeast Asia, racing along. He almost gets run over by a tank, but Catwoman saves him, and he's like, "Hey, Catwoman, this is crazy. How did we even get here?" And she's like, "I'm glad you asked. While we are racing, I've got to explain to you what happened before this leg of the race." So, then, just scant hours
before they went to Southeast Asia.
hotshot freelance coroner Eddie Gilbreth is still trying to solve the cold case murder of Victoria Viceroy for her granddaughter. Coroner Bill, my most favorite character in Catwoman, is having none of it, but high-ranking suicide hotline volunteer / deputized Gotham City police officer Selena Kyle
Well, faux deputized, as we discussed before.
is there to help him figure out this case so he can make smoochy faces at Rita Viceroy.
a fine proposal.
Okay, because if Catwoman's anything, she's a wingman. You know?
But I love the fact that Corner Bill immediately goes, she has a bullet hole in her head and you have a gun. Case closed?
Hello?
Laziest route possible.
Yep. Yeah, so Eddie comes up with some elaborate thing about how Victoria had an illegitimate child out of wedlock and someone killed her, so she wouldn't will any of the money to this illegitimate child. Meanwhile, Corner Bill does some actual toxicology, and he says, hey, check this out. There's a ridiculous amount of arsenic in her bones. Old-timey ladies ate arsenic all the time to look young. So she killed herself before she was even shot. Guess what? I just solved your cold case, you dork.
Boom.
Boom. Mic drop. Corner Bill is out. Peace.
I've got some stab victims to go proclaim dead.
Also, in our Hawaiian shirt madness part of the issue this month, Catwoman investigates Hunt Stone, the guy who has glowing fire hair for some reason that has never been explained.
Nope.
He's been kidnapped by Roulette. This whole race of things is her holding his money up as a prize because she stole his child. Apparently he doesn't have a child. Catwoman goes and snoops around his house, finds a baby-sized death mask that she gets fingerprints off of that has something to do with solving the case. Maybe?
Your guess is as good as mine. It seemed like a good excuse for them to say, hey, you can get fingerprints off of things.
Yes.
FYI, that's science.
Yeah, so she goes and tells Gilbert about it, but doesn't actually explain what it is, and he lets loose that I was hired by Roulette to not solve the case. But now I've got to solve the case or I don't get to make smooshy faces at Rita or something. So Hunt Stone may have the inheritance, but if the case is solved, Rita will get the prize money?
Yes.
So Roulette can't have a race? That's what I'm assuming.
But then Roulette
from this big,
will
gigantic
hate...
Jenga thing that's been built.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the race. So... There's a little side story in all this where Interpol has a helicopter that's chasing down all these rocket cars and is firing on them, and Catwoman makes it crash, and it turns out that Swindle and Vice had been hired by Roulette to fix the race, and they were posing as Interpol to slow down racers.
Sure! So, okay.
That ate up a couple of pages of time.
Who are all these other racers, though?
Oh, my only guess... She kept talking about how people have been racing all around the world.
Yes.
These may have been the people from the preliminaries of the other cities around the world.
Okay,
that's all I can possibly think of.
Because the only people we had were Mirror Master, Swindle, Vice, and Catwoman were left.
Yeah.
And half of the people that advanced just disappear. And no
Volt,
one's
Volt just disappeared. Rat Tail's there for some reason.
Yeah, Rat Tail all of a sudden showed up. Even though he lives in Gotham City.
I didn't make the Gotham qualifiers, but I went to St. Louis and I qualified there. It's like American Idol or like So You Think You Can Dance. Someone just shows up. It's like, I didn't make the first time, going to keep on trying. Roulette's Simon Cowell is very vicious, but he does have a heart of gold. And he let him in. Because he showed...
An elephant of gold.
He had not... I can't even follow that up. All right. So there is a big finish where Catwoman almost wins. Mirror Master slows down the bullet train. And... Keyes and Alvarez, who as Gotham City police officers have full jurisdiction in Southeast Asia, go to arrest them and thank Catwoman for winning because apparently the entire Gotham City Police Department bet on Catwoman in the Race of Thieves because I guess that's something you can do. Just go on the internet and bet on the Race of Thieves.
You can bet on anything in Vegas.
I know.
Like literally anything.
The entire police department put their retirement fund into betting on Catwoman.
Yeah.
And what happens next?
Well, you see, Catwoman didn't actually... They're like, okay, we're gonna arrest Mirror Master here, and Catwoman just go across the finish line. She's like, nope. And this old hippie dude in a dune buggy that she'd been helping throughout the race goes and zooms across the finish line going, yeehaw! I won! Hippie wins! Oh, I
Because she bet all of her money on him because he had the higher odds.
Yep.
So now all the police in Gotham City can't retire?
Yep. Catwoman's just leading to the job crisis in America, all these baby boomers who can't retire. She is just destroying the job market for young college graduates. That's why people like Eddie Gilbert have to work as freelance coroners, Catwoman.
I just love the fact that Keys and Alvarez show up and they're like, yeah, we're going to arrest people. And I was like, wait a minute. Flip back 3 pages. Southeast Asia. Flip. No, they're still in Southeast Asia. Why are you in Southeast Asia, Keys and Alvarez? You're on the murder squad. You're detectives in Gotham City.
And that's why they're not on the murder squad anymore. They spend too much time gallivanting around in Southeast Asia.
They had to form a new murder squad.
Yeah, so Roulette wasn't on the train, so now Catwoman is very angry, and she's going to battle Roulette next month in the fourth and maybe final leg of the race.
I think the race is over. I think that was the end of the race.
But it's still called the Race of Thieves. It said part 4.
Well, I know the arc is continuing, but I think the actual race.
I hope the race is still happening somehow. That's all I can say.
It's the trivia round next one where they're just going to ask her questions about bats.
I was hoping it would at least be these bats. I hope it's at least a swimsuit competition so we can see the hippie guy in like an old timey striped bathing suit.
Ask them their position on current world events and
such as the Iran.
Yeah, such as. So yeah, it's Catwoman.
It's Catwoman.
I'm not even going to go into it.
Yeah.
We love it. I love it.
Yep.
We might be a bit of a stretch, but
we is very much a stretch in my case.
I still love it. It's that was my question at the beginning though. Between Ulysses 31 and this, they're pulling off the old cartoons left and right. I was like, this is. And
I think they've got the rights to the Hanna-Barbera.
I'm sure they do, but
we could bring Dick Dastardly back with Space Ghost.
Why is there not an annual Race of Thieves, Wacky Races style?
I know.
I would buy that mini every year.
God, the rogues trying to pull together all their money to make some jalopy. That was the best.
I would be reading this all the time. Why is this not so much more awesome than it could be?
I know. I know.
Because that premise alone is just amazing. It's just, okay, we have these theme people. They have their weird little niche things that they do. Have them build a vehicle of some sort and race across the Gobi Desert. All right, moving on.
All-Star Western 32. Jonah Hex and Talullah Black, they're teaming up. They're bounty hunters again.
Yep.
Talullah Black is hilariously filthy.
I told you she is awesome.
She is awesome. There's not much to say here, but I'm going to go over what happens. They kidnap someone named Amos Blackthorne from a poker game. They hold up in a bar waiting for the authorities to show up so they can, get their bounty out from him. They speak a little too loudly about the bounty and how much this guy is worth. Bartender drugs their drinks. Although mostly, I think, not so much for the money, just because Talullah Black keeps calling the guy fat and being a real jerk about it. So they drug Hex and Talullah. They steal Blackthorn for themselves. They strap Black and Hex to their horses and send them out into the desert. Haha, they won't catch up to us by the time we steal their money. Yeah. And the thing that makes Talullah the most upset is the fact that her lucky shotgun got stolen. He's just like, there's no such thing as a lucky shotgun there, Talullah. And she says, no, this is a lucky shotgun. And she tells the story about how she got it in Mexico. She was carrying a severed head for a bounty, as she does. And she runs into a jam where she had 6 bullets for 6 banditos, but she missed the 5th one. This guy turns his shotgun on her, fires, and it doesn't work. But she immediately steals it, turns it back on him, she fires, it works. It's a lucky magic shotgun. And Joan's just like, there's probably just some flint in the trigger or something. That's why it didn't work.
No, it's my goddamn lucky shotgun.
Do I need to introduce you to to poor Dr. 13?
Oh, yes.
If anyone could have explained this to you, it would have been Dr. 13, young lady.
I think he's still flying away with vampires right now.
I think so, yeah. Oh, God. 19th Century Stormwatch.
It's over now.
Oh, man.
It's gone as of this point. So
they show up somewhere, somehow.
We got Quasi-Smokestack Jack and Grayson.
We did. So, a preacher finds them out in the desert, but he won't help them because they're drinkers and bounty hunters and killers and
sinners and thieves.
Sinners. We're not going to help you. And later, as they kind of giddy up horsey, take us away. As the horses eventually come upon them, into some ruffians and thugs beating up the preacher. They try to help, but their horses get shot, so they're now in another pickle, as Jonah Hex and Talullah Black seem to always be in.
Tell me you do not absolutely adore Talullah Black, even after 2 or 3 issues.
Talullah Black is amazing.
It is. That's what made the whole thing work when it was her Jonah Hex and Amadeus Arkham.
Oh my god, I can only
All
imagine
three
her
of
and
them running
Amadeus
around.
Arkham.
And Amadeus
Jonah
was
Hex
just
at least put up with him. I cannot imagine her putting up with...
Oh, she did. And he was always just like, you're so wrong. What are you doing this for? And she's like, because I want to. Kicking over stuff.
I do what I want.
It was very fun. Very, very fun.
Yeah.
It had my favorite panel in this one was after they ran across the preacher who wouldn't help them. There's just one panel with the two of them still tied to their horse just as it walks through the desert. And Talullah just goes, people are assholes. It's Jonah Hex going, yep. And they just keep walking across the desert. I love it. I just love the characters. I'm so sad to see that book go still.
Yeah.
So we'll leave the desert of the Old West as we head to a different kind of beach. A sandy beach in Aquaman number 32. We get the introduction of a character. When Dr. Orson in the Triton base goes to put the mind control device into his greatest creation ever, the Chimera, it awakens. And the Chimera is not as goofy as you would think. I painted the picture of
Him just having eels duct taped to him and stuff.
yes, and like a shark fin just glued to the side of his head, and maybe like I don't know, let's put some whale blubber around here, and
Yes.
go fishy person go. This guy jumps out, and he starts killing everyone.
Looks pretty cool, too.
He looks very cool. He has lampreys for arms. Like his arms are lampreys that end with like the sucker hand in his palm. So he's just like killing people.
Hand mouths. Just, thank you.
He puts his hands on these two guards' faces, and it has like the squid suction cups on them, and they're so strong that he rips the faces off of these guards. He's spitting acid all over the place. He has electrical scales that he's shooting out. This guy is just trashing this Triton base.
That thing is super creepy.
Yes, and the only
Ew.
thing he has, he picks up Dr. Shin, and he's just like, why? Why would you make something like this? And Dr. Shin is just like, I had nothing to do with it. And he starts reading Dr. Shin's mind because Dr. Shin is thinking, oh God, Aquaman, this is really jacked up. Please come save me before the creepy lamprey arm person rips my face off as well. And that's, if you recall, one of the parts that was put in this creature king / chimera is the brain of the Kraken, the giant monster that Aquaman killed. And it instantly recognizes Aquaman and goes, oh, I remember that guy. Yeah, he's the one that did this to us. We got to find him and figure out why this happened to us. And he breaks out, destroying Triton base, and they seal off all the walls that he had broken out into the ocean. And, oh geez, Triton base not in good shape. We'll come back to him. Because we're going back...
Some C-Lab-esque follies there at
Yes,
Triton Base.
quite a bit. We'll come back to that because we're going back to the...
Bizarro, I do not love you.
Bizarro, I love you. We're going back to conservative Atlantis. A quieter people.
Aquaman is destroying America.
Well, Atlantica.
Atlantica. My mistake.
They are all standing around because Talullah, Mara, of course, Aquaman's queen, and one of the council members...
Aquaman did destroy America at one point, just to justify...
They're all showing up because they sent the assassins to kill Mara, and they're like, well, you just delivered yourself unto us. We heard on the news how weak you are. You're a wilting little flower. You can't get anything done, and we're gonna kill you now. And they go, blah, and they go charging up. Talullah and Mara make an embarrassment of these people. They're riding giant crabs, and Talullah just takes one of the crabs and starts smacking them around with it, dipping them in butter. Mara's just smoting everyone in sight until...
But our favorite news station said nothing but negative things about you. Yes. How could they be wrong?
That's literally the people, like the non-militant citizens, are like, but the news said you're a weak little wilting flower. How could this be?
They lied.
It's almost like something's being stated here.
I don't know.
I don't know what, though.
I don't know.
What ends up happening, though, is they capture the leader of these militants. Mara takes him and says, who are you working for? Who ordered you to do this? Why are you trying to kill me and my family? And he goes, I'll never tell you. You'll never get anything from me. And she goes, oh, I bet you I can. Swims him on over to Topo's little pen. Well, little pen and goes, look, it's feeding time for Topo, as they're just throwing hordes of dead creatures into the maw of Topo.
Gigantic googly-eyed squids.
Yes, gigantic googly-eyed squids. And he goes, you're not going to toss me in there. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to toss you in there. See you later, guy. And tosses him in. And at the last second, she grabs him. And he's like, I'll tell you everything. And they're like, man, Topo sure is majestic. And they're like, yeah, Topo really gets people to open up. It breeds confidence in their country when they see Topo. Mm-hmm. So let's go elsewhere, because Aquaman is jumping out of the side of the Batwing. I'm assuming this is right after their adventures in the Batman and Aquaman team up, and Batman is dropping him off close to Atlantis, and he dives down in the water, and he's swimming back to Atlantis. It's time to check in, see how Mara's doing with keeping things together, and that's when he runs across, quite literally, amorous googly-eyed squid. And he's like, amorous googly-eyed squid, bro, I haven't seen you in forever. I heard you were in Gotham just like doing googly things. So what you doing, bud? How's it going? And the googly-eyed squid just starts smacking him in the face with its tentacles and shoots ink on him. And he's like, what the? Why would you do that to me, man?
Is this disappearing ink? Is this a Marvin Acme thing? Come on.
You were my bro. Why would you do that? And he turns around, and the electric eels come up, and they start swimming around him and electrifying him. And he's like, whoa, creatures, voo, 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 voo. You guys all need to calm down. And this is when it becomes this whole reversal of roles things where the Aquaman becomes a parent of an entire ocean load of 3-year-olds. Where it's like, no, googly-eyed squid, you put that down right now. No, putting it in another tentacle is not putting it down. Ooh, no, guys, put the treasure back where it belongs. Please quit annoying one another. And none of the animals are listening to him whatsoever as he voo-voo-voos all over the place.
I'm not touching him. He can't get mad.
Yeah, I will turn this ocean around. And that's when a voice comes out from across the animals. Like they're talking to him all of a sudden, voo-voo-voo. And it goes, no. They don't listen to you anymore. They don't listen to a king of men. They listen to a king of creatures. They listen to me. And that's when all of a sudden he swims up, Creature King does, looking all super menacing, and goes, you're responsible for this. I was a welder or a giant monster, depending on which part of my brain's talking right now. Now look at me. I am a mess. I am an absolute mess, and you're responsible for it. And I demand that you tell me why. Why did this happen to me? And that's where we're leaving off. Creature King is creepy as hell in this book. And
it is super creepy looking.
Yeah, he has like a Creature from the Black Lagoon on steroids with a bunch of freaking just tentacles and, hey, sea life's dangerous, FYI, type reminders all over him.
Everything in the ocean is trying to kill you, and it's all in this guy.
Yeah, he might as well just be called Australia's Ocean. Because that's what he is. He's just the mortal, death-killing everything in the water all rolled into one right now.
And people want to know why I will not ever go in water that I can't see my feet. That is why. Just saying.
The Creature King.
The Creature King.
Exactly.
A fair reason.
Yep.
So we're running along. Brian, what do you got next?
We got the Flash, so I'll try to go fast.
One would hope.
Yes, so Flash 32. Future Flash, he's coming back. He's killing all of his supervillain rogue gallery as he's coming back.
Well, not really in this one.
Well, no. He comes back to visit Captain Cold, who is already dying of bone cancer.
On his deathbed.
Yep. If only Dr. Death was there to help him understand his bone disease. Thanks a lot, Batman.
Yeah, it's because of him. Mm-hmm. Sad scene, though.
Very sad.
Very sad, where he's just going to stay with him.
Yeah.
You and me, guy. We were at each other's throats all the time, but I know we were on the Justice League together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so our current modern-day times Flash, he confronts the killer who is using old supervillain weapons, who is currently using the gloves of Merge, who has, like, Salvadore Dali powers.
So I was just going to say, that's the easiest way to describe it. Oh, look, I'm melting clocks. Ooh.
Yeah, one glove touches one thing, it touches another, and they merge together somehow. And it's just an excuse for Brett Booth to draw a Flash running around awesome psychedelic landscapes.
It does work.
And I cannot complain about that.
And it's also how Pokemon are made.
Mm-hmm, yes. He even tries to merge Flash with a lamp. What is this, Earth 52? Come on.
I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm. He then uses a laser from someone named Gravitor to heighten Flash's gravity so he can't run. Then he hits the reverse switch and then heightens Flash, lessens Flash's gravity, so he goes running off into the sky, flying off into nothing.
So we switched it from suck to blow.
Exactly. It certainly did blow for the Flash. So, cutting back to Future Flash, he explains to Captain Cold how it turns out that the Flash, every time he uses the Speed Force, he is breaking space-time by using it. And he's going to go back and kill the current Flash, so at least he can, instead of ruining the universe, someone else can deal with that, and he will put Flash out of his future misery.
Yes, at least the space-time continuum will not be destroyed because he had to go get coffee from Guatemala for his girlfriend.
Yes, exactly. Back in modern-day times, Patty goes and tracks down Flash because she put a GPS in his costume because she knew something like this was going to happen sooner or later.
Well, he gets himself down out of the stratosphere by figuring out he can make the little tornadoes with his arms, and he's not very good at steering himself.
Yeah, he just goes crashing down. I do love. There's that one. I was wondering how you learned how to fly because I knew that was not a thing you were doing before. And so he's like, "Oh crap! I've got to be somewhere." And she's like, "What? Let's go home and have movie night or something. I got something good from Netflix. Let's go watch that. Make some popcorn." He's like, "Oh, I was actually going to take Wally and Iris to a baseball game. Iris West, the girl that I'm always trying to pry off of you with the jaws of life. You're taking her to her and her disadvantaged nephew to a baseball game instead of spending time with me. Thanks a lot. You're sleeping on the couch tonight. I'm going home. Blue-hoo, blue-hoo."
You know, that's a much less threatening thing, though, where it's like, I'm going to drive away and leave you here when it's the Flash.
Yeah.
He can be back home before she even knows.
Yeah. Yeah, so we cut to the...
You can just claim the bed real quick. Just, bed's mine. You have to sleep on the couch.
Yeah, so Barry goes to the Diamonds baseball game. He bonds with Wally by explaining how baseball is better than basketball.
Hey, you have a snarky tone, and I do not appreciate it. I loved this scene.
No, the scene was amazing.
Okay.
It's just like, Wally likes basketball, eh?
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Okay.
I see where you're going there.
Let's just it's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, always with the new Wally West.
See, I thought this was the
Of
endearing
course,
scene.
and mind you, every single kid loves basketball these days. So,
Yes.
But still, he explains how it's like, hey, everything can't always be fast. Basketball's just fast. If you don't slow down and pay attention to things, you're going to miss something really cool. Baseball's all about waiting for that cool thing to happen, and suddenly home run gets hit, and they get all super jacked because, come on, home runs are awesome.
Yes.
Dingers rule. And Iris had gone off to get some snacks or whatever. She comes back, and she's like, "Oh, did I miss something?" And they're like all snicker, "Haha, you missed the best part of the game." And now they're all buddy, and they're rooting for the game. And it was a very, very nice bonding moment.
The best part of the scene, the announcer for the game, his commentary was all about their conversation with the, he swings and a miss as he tries to make the connection there with the... It was very, very well done. And then, he's stepping back in the box. Do you think he's going to throw another heater? I don't know. He may need to reconsider his approach on this one.
Yes.
It was very cool the way it was
It was very well done. If you're going to try to sell someone on the new Wally West, you may as well show them that scene.
Yeah, that scene should at least buy some goodwill, I think, towards the character moving forward. It was well done. I loved it. I put it down. I had a smile on my face where I was just like, okay, you done good, kid.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Very much so. I just could not believe how well paced that scene was. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Mostly the pacing. Dialogue obviously was pretty solid, but the pacing really sold it. Kind of curious where we're going with the Future Flash thing. A lot of him coming back.
Yeah.
This is what, the 5th issue where he's still coming back?
Yeah, who's left?
Heatwave? No, Heatwave's dead from Forever Evil.
If he is.
Well, allegedly dead.
Dead. Mostly dead.
Yes. There's not very many of them left, that's for sure, though. But I'm going to wrap up the show this week. Justice League Dark number 32. Nightmare Nurse possessed Zatanna. Took her body. And is kind of having fun, going, yeah, I'm super powerful now. Look at me. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew. Or I guess, wep, 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 wep.
Yeah.
Backwards magic and all. So the Justice League Dark go, hey, Nightmare Nurse, do you mind hopping out of that there body so Zatanna can come back? She's like, no way in hell. I'm awesome now. Wep, wep, wep. And the Justice League Dark try to kick her out of the body, but she dismantles the entire team until John Constantine holds a little psychic knife to her neck and is about to kill her. And she goes, I'm going to roll the dice. I don't think you'll kill Zatanna. I think you still got the hots for her. And of course he still does. So he decides a different method is he's going to open up a portal back to that between plane that they were at before and have it just suck out Nightmare Nurse from the body and send her back to that plane of existence. Unfortunately, Constantine overcompensates a little bit and sucks in the entire House of Mystery with all of the rest of the Justice League Dark into said between zone. And reminds them all, oh, by the way, it's sentient and trying to kill us. Whoopsie! Nightmare Nurse, as soon as they get there, though, is able to take her normal form, which is like this demon-looking three-headed dog thing, and goes, sorry, guys.
Cerberus?
Kind of. She just kind of goes, sorry, guys. I was kind of corrupted, a little drunk on the power of Zatanna's magic there. That's not me. I'm sorry. That's why I just abandoned the body. And Zatanna's like, well, not a fan of you doing that. Don't ever do it again. Bad, 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 bad.
Slap on the
Bad
wrist.
dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
Spray bottle.
And then it's kind
Literally bad dog.
Yes,
Gigantic
that's-
Cerberus.
And,
3 spray bottles for each head.
just have them taped together. And it turns out that she goes, okay, Zatanna,
Why couldn't Triton Base be working on that technology instead of gluing electric eels to people?
I think it's next on their list.
Okay.
That's how they're going to actually bilge out all the water is the three-headed
the triple
spritz.
spray gun, yeah.
Just some guy with a really long tube feeding down into Triton Base, pulling the trigger all the time. Zatanna finally goes, okay, I'm going to try to open up a portal. You guys go keep the sentient plane of existence busy real quick, I guess. They go do that. Of course, Zatanna is unable to power it enough, so the rest of the team end up coming back after they fail at holding off this plane of existence. And Nightmare Nurse goes, well, there's only one thing I can do. I'm going to sacrifice myself. I will keep the plane busy. I'm the reason we're here to begin with. You guys work together. If you all pull your powers, you'll eventually open up the portal and get out. She goes to leave, and Zatanna lands a big old smooch on her face before she goes. She's like, hey, before you go, kissy, kissy. And there's this hysterical panel of Swamp Thing, Constantine, and Deadman standing there slack-jawed watching it while this plane of existence is tearing apart the house behind them. They're just watching the two girls make out. It's actually just very funny that their priorities are like, oh, damn, that's hot. It's very humorous. And, of course, Nightmare Nurse goes out there, buys them the time they need, and Zatanna and Constantine are able to open the portal, pulling them back into our plane of existence, leaving behind Nightmare Nurse to sacrifice herself for them. And they're like, oh no, we left Nightmare Nurse behind. It's so sad. And Zatanna goes, oh, come on, guys. You think I was just making out with her for no reason? Patooey! And spits out a fragment of her soul and reforms it back into Nightmare Nurse back in the present. Basically uses a piece of her soul to reclone her here and goes, ta-da, Nightmare Nurse is back. And they end up taking over the body of Alice Winters once more, the girl, because she was the only person keeping her alive.
Okay, my one question, Brian just answered by showing me the thing, because I was going to say, so which head did she kiss? There's 3 of them.
Yeah, it was like a ghost form of her girly self. So
okay, because I mean that was my question. I'm just like, so is she, which of the 3 heads? You know?
All of them. A lot of tongue in that kissing. 4 of them.
That reaction panel is fantastic.
It is great. It's just right in the middle of it. All 3 of them are slack-jawed, just staring as you see the...
He kind of looks disgusted.
I don't know about disgusted. I don't know if disgusted is a proper descriptive term.
It doesn't look very, like, I don't know.
I think that's more of a what the hell? So anyway, yes, Nightmare Nurse retakes the body. The team is back together, and they go whisking off. Constantine back on the team, it seems. But Zatanna's in charge. So they'll have more crazy magic adventures coming up next month in Justice League Dark number 33. And that's it.
All right.
That's all my books.
All right.
It wasn't really the past for Nightmare Nurse that I was looking for, but it's serviceable. I was kind of hoping for something bigger, grander, like who she is, why she's important, why she's being brought in here. But she's just a side character. It's an interesting little thing, so I'm not going to judge it too much. But yeah, that's all of our books for this week. Quite a few.
Cool.
Back up to 14 again this week, so it was a busier
a lot
week.
Of books.
Yeah.
Why didn't you warn me?
Oh, by the way, there's a lot of books.
Thanks.
Hey,
And
you're welcome. And done. Off my list. Let me kill all my dissenters now, and I can finish my Sinestro school of running a podcast. So a reminder to you guys, buy these books. There was quite a few good ones. Superman 32, definitely check it out. Brian, what are you pimping this week?
Oh, how about Aquaman?
Aquaman was pretty awesome.
I liked Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman was pretty fun. There was a couple really good ones. Future's End still continuing its slow burn. Red Lanterns. I don't think you need us to remind you. We love that title. Sinestro number 3. I'm surprised that it has a premise. It's going somewhere. And Catwoman. If you like wacky races, that's for you.
Yep.
It's for you. It's right up your alley. Just remember to go out there
Less
and support
snickering
them.
dogs than I would like, but I'll take it.
Yes. I was hoping Rat Tail at least would just be like,
Yeah.
not a one. Not a single one. But if you don't buy them, if you don't support them, these books will be canceled unless Batman's in it. So make sure you support what you want to see moving forward. Next week, not as many as this week. Gets a little bit easier for us so we can fish through some questions again. Next week, we have Action Comics number 23 back on the Doom train.
Doomed.
Aquaman and the Others number 4 continues. Batman Eternal number 13. Batman Superman number 12. Batwing number 33. Earth 2 number 25 as Val-Zod dons the Superman costume. Green Arrow 33. God, I love those covers. Green Lantern 33. Justice League 3000 number 8. Future's End number 9. Superman Unchained
What?
number 7. Anyone remember this one? I didn't. I completely forgot. I have to go reread those before next week. Swamp Thing number 33. Tiny Titans Return to the Treehouse number 2. And Trinity of Sin Phantom Stranger number 21.
I know one of those. I know one of those things on the list that we need to pick up.
Actually, our son said he wanted to wait for the trade.
Really?
He saw the tiny, skinny, floppy issue, and he's like, but there's the big Tiny Titans over there we can get.
Man.
And if anything, he does want to go chronological.
Yeah.
So
You gotta go chronological with Tiny Titans. There is kind of a weird continuity over there in that.
Yeah,
so
there is. They keep talking about it in Superman Family Adventures. He's like, wait, why can't we have that? I'm like, well, I only get so many books a month, kiddo.
Yeah. Now he knows how it feels. Reminder to you guys, though, if you do want to contact us, use the internet.
Yep.
So, moving forward. We are DCR Podcast everywhere. As I said last week, I'm not going to explain how the internet works again. You know how to do it. We're feedback@dcrpodcast.com if you want to email us. So do you guys have anything before we take off?
Nope, that's the mic drop right there.
So thank you to each and every one of you. Hopefully this episode came across decent. We're still going to find some setting tweaks in the next couple episodes. If you do have some issues with the way it's coming across, please let us know. I'm testing it on as much hardware as I can to make sure it's coming across even everywhere as far as headsets, cars, etc. So if you have an issue with it, please speak up and let us know on the internet. So until then, though, guys, enjoy your books, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives. Guess when we'll talk to them?
Next week.
Yeah.